Welcome back, everybody. My name is Joe, and this is Work Hard RC. Today we have a very special podcast with the Godfather of RC Lowriding himself, Jevries. We also have a special guest named Tony of Trickle Customz. He provided a great third to the podcast in the sense of asking some really good technical questions that I probably wouldn't have remembered to ask or even thought of to ask. So I do thank Tony for that. And above all else, I do thank Jevries for coming onto the podcast. We were able to schedule this because I was doing an event at the Sacramento NorCal Lowrider Magazine car show. And so with all of that going on and him being a special guest, we're able to meet up with him. And I do thank Jevries for that. Within the podcast, we do talk about his upbringing and where he kind of came from to be where he is today and the person that he is today and everything in between. So we did have some really good conversation, some funny aspects of it. I do hope you guys enjoy that. If you guys are new to the podcast, I do ask you guys subscribe and comment if you guys have any questions. And if you're returning, I do thank everybody for watching. I do appreciate all the views and all the subscribers that we have. This podcast for me, I have done other podcasts, even though this is the second for RC, but this to me was one of the best that I've done because of Jevries and the person that he is. He's a very meticulous person in the sense of what he puts to his products and who he is, whether it be from his art, from his early work, and just from his ideas that he's had and how he was able to formulate all of the ideas to bring RC lowrider cars to the industry. So I do thank Jevries for that, as I'm sure that we all do, for allowing us to enjoy this hobby and to bring something that he had as a dream into light, into what we see today. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and we all thank Jevries for bringing RC lowriding to all of us. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's go and get started. This is our podcast number 2. Not like number 2, number 1, like in a restroom, but just number 2. Not that you're not the best. Number 1 was Bradley. You should have been number 1 as you get a chance to
shout out to Bradley.
But yeah, so I know Tony's worked a lot on the RC cars, on the aspect of like get him to hop and do all these crazy things. We also got Trickle Customz, Tony over here, and he'll be in and out of the podcast. So we have the what is that on Fastener? We got the mad scientist here, and then we got the tech support over here.
Yes, tech support. Can I call you tech support?
You're not here right now.
You're fired.
Yeah, but we got the owner of Jevries here, and we're going to be just kind of talking to see, first of all, kind of how you got started in all of this RC world, from the beginning, what got you into it, and about what time frame was that like?
Well, I remember watching this television series, The Streets of San Francisco, with Michael Douglas, and there was one scene that I can remember that was like a lowrider car was stopping next to another car and it started to hop, and I was like, what the hell? So I asked my dad, how do they do that? Because it looks so fun and so cool. And he was like, yeah, they do it with the gas and with the neutral and everything. So you do it. And I was like, okay, can we do this right now with our car, right? So he didn't know how it was done. But it got my interest because it was like, I never seen anything like that before, but I was like a kid, maybe 10 years old. And I was also fascinated by those cars that they put on the, how do you call those things when you go to, not the circus, but to the carnival, where they have those, where you can sit on these things. You can go. Is the merry-go-round?
Not a carousel.
Merry-go-round?
A carousel with the horses that go up and down.
Carousel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But at home, they had these cool cars and cool scooter bikes with all flakes and paint jobs and everything. And I was like, whoa, that is so damn cool.
So what time frame was that you were
I think that was in the late 70s. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, late 70s.
Because my uncle, he was really big into, like he used to build custom cars when he was younger. And so he did all these crazy paint jobs. And then he became a correctional officer. And as his career progressed, he started to train like the inmates on how to do custom paint jobs.
Really?
And then all of his kids, he has 3 of them. He built custom pedal cars, the all metal pedal cars with the gold flake and all that. So like kind of along the lines of what you saw in that time frame, those metal solid steel, freaking probably got cancer if you got too close to them, The paint probably had lead in it.
My
but
God.
Those were like nice.
Yeah, that was super nice. They got all these spectacular shapes and things. You have got like these rockets and these cars, but I was always fascinated with the small kit cars that were mounted on there. And my dad put me in there, and I was screaming because I also felt it was kind of scary that you're like inside some things. I was like claustrophobic, but I love the sparkle, and all that. So I think in the end, I think it was 1990 that a friend of mine, he was working at the book stand. He showed me Lowrider magazine. I was like, he said, Jay, you need to check this out, because I was a skateboarder. So everything that was like creative or subculture, I was like interested in. And he showed me, I was like, damn, I recognize those cars from like video clips and everything, but I didn't know that there was like a whole culture. Yeah, with a magazine and a lifestyle, etc. And then I noticed the bicycles in one picture. I'm like, damn, those bicycles. I need to get me one of those bicycles. But to get like the really authentic American parts was impossible,
Yeah.
because no one imported that stuff to the Netherlands or even to Europe. So I had to figure out to create my own frame. So we had like two frames welded together, one BMX frame on the front and a typical Dutch granny bike, as we call it in the Netherlands, put upside down and welded to the back of the BMX frame. And I created my own Lowrider bicycle, and I tried to get all kinds of white wall tires. It was incredibly difficult to find white wall tires in the Netherlands back then. But I managed to make my my first Lowrider bicycle. I was probably the first one in the Netherlands, maybe even in Europe, because I never seen anything like it before. And the Netherlands is like a bicycle country.
Mhm.
I think everyone at least owns one bicycle. So you can tell we have like 80 million people. So at least like 80 million bicycles over there. It's ridiculous.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So I was always inspired by bicycles. And then Lowrider Bicycle magazine came out. And it was like a cross thing about Lowrider bicycles and Lowrider model cars. And once I laid my eye on a hopping model kit car, I was like, damn, how did you do that? That's so sick, because I always was interested in all this mechanical stuff, you know, how to put motors inside stuff. And I always created the most crazy, bizarre shit. I remember creating this telegraph thing. So my mom had this tap thing downstairs, and I had one upstairs, and we could tap like SOS and shit. because I saw it in the West End. I was like, damn, that's such a cool thing. So this was before the telephone, Mom. Yeah, it was before the telephone. So I wanted to create one with cables and lines.
Uh-huh.
It was ridiculous, but that's how I got fascinated with all kinds of different weird stuff. And when I saw like the model kit cars with the motors inside, so everything pretty much came together. My love for model kit building, my love for mechanical stuff, my love for all the paint jobs and everything. So that's when I got so motivated to start my own, to create my own model kit cars with motors and make them hop. And I was super interested, but back then there was no internet.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult to get all the info over there. But luckily, the internet was slowly coming up, and I always had to go to the library where they had this, how do you call it, this pillar, this internet pillar. You had the screen, you had to put coins in there, and you could go browse the internet. So I always had to go to the library, standing there for hours and hours looking at web pages from big kids enterprises, and I tried to print everything out so I could watch it at home. But those pages back then were like super crappy, but at least I got something that made me in touch with the Lowrider model car scene, you know? It was fascinating, man. I was so hyped. And there are not a lot of model kit stores over there in the Netherlands. So I was lucky to find a couple that offered the 64 Impala and the 65 Impala. But I was so keen on getting it going. And in the end, trying to compete with the guys in America that I never got to meet.
Yeah. So when you were over there, so you're from the Netherlands, right?
Yes.
And you grew up there, born there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still live there?
Yeah.
And so like being from there, you knew that was that they were able to do it in the US, or you just didn't know?
I didn't know specifically about lowriding being like a lifestyle, like a real cultural thing. I didn't know about that. I knew about the cars, like seeing it in hip hop clips.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, it was very popular. But once I realized it was like a whole cultural thing, I was like, whoa, this is super interesting. Even more than just the cars, it is like a whole thing.
Yeah.
And that was so inspiring to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say you got the model cars and like you put motors, so like did you actually take like for me growing up, I had like those plastic model cars that you take to the tree, the engines off the trees, you'd build them.
Those are
right.
the
And I
ones.
would enter those in the fair and did all that kind of stuff. So you would take something like that and then modify it to
exactly.
Okay.
And at first I sucked at it. I mean, I was like, I thought I was brilliant. I came up with this nice setup. It was more like a locomotive kind of setup like this with a motor like this. But it didn't hop, you know. I was like, damn, how can these guys make these cars hop? and in the end, it was super simple because it was just like a small DC motor with a line attached to the front axle that's pulling it down, just winding up like at speed. And that was the only thing that made the car up. I was like, damn, it was so easy.
I used the clothes hanger.
Exactly.
And like a T-shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The wheels go on the side. Use my dad's fishing line. and the motors, I
Just
use them off old
spin it.
cassette
Yeah.
players. I used to take the old cassette players apart and use the motors.
Yeah. There you go.
That's like
Yeah.
late 80s, early
Yeah.
90s
Yeah.
stuff.
But they started that shit like in the late 70s that I've heard of. That they already did with bobby pins and stuff and cassette player motors. So it was definitely not something new. But through Lowrider Bicycle magazine, it was like booming all of a sudden. It's like, whoa, everybody got to see how the masters did it, like in the US. And you had masters like David Anthony Garcia back in the day, Armando Flores, and there were lots of other guys that created like working Lowrider model kit cars, because that got my interest. I mean, I love the paint job and the static model cars, Lowrider model cars, but the ones that are working, you can make it hop and make it dance, that was like the click for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the first one that you built? Like what kind of car was it?
64 Impala by AMT. I still have it.
Is it
Yeah.
AMT?
Yeah, it's AMT. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I still have it. Yeah. It's a champagne color because a guy over in the Netherlands, Marcel, he's got one in real, like a 64 in champagne color, and he still has it. And it was the most, oh man, that car had everything, even remote control. And it was back in the early 90s. He had like the small remote control.
Mm-hmm.
So we could stand like up a balcony and he could just move his car. All the people around it and can make, and I was like, so
the car alarm.
Yeah,
and
the
I was
button.
fascinated by it. I was like, holy shit, he can control his car with the keychain. It's so
That's cool.
sick.
I looked on eBay prior because I was like, because I have one, but it was like probably early 2000s. I think it was, but it's the one that actually has the wire connected to it.
Yeah.
It started like a model car.
Yeah.
You put the stickers,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
It's red. And it's
Yeah.
got, I was in a bring it and I forgot it. But so I didn't know anything prior to that. And so
Yeah.
I was looking it up and I saw one with like a button, but it was like really old, like beat up. So I was trying to find one like that was good. I can like
Yeah.
order and have, for the history of it. I just couldn't find a good one.
Damn.
But, yeah,
But
I'll have to keep
you're
looking.
talking about the Lindbergh ones?
The one with the
craft
little
house?
the button.
With the black
the remote?
Yeah. They sold millions of those.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. I had one of those.
Man, I was at their office in New York once because they invited me over, and I didn't know about that they sold millions of it. And there was this big banner. We sold millions of them. And I was like, seriously?
It's like the
Sick.
McDonald's signs,
Yeah,
like billion
exactly.
served. It's like,
Insane. I was like, whoa. But they got out of production because of the whole homies hotties issue.
what was it? The what?
The homies hotties issue. They had
Okay.
like these small figurines with bikini girls, and
Uh-huh.
you could buy like the Lindbergh car with the bikini girls, and they were selling it at Walmart. But a lot of parents were like, what does my kid do with this model kit car with these bikini girls next to it? What's going on with this? So they got a lot of complaints. So I had to
Wow.
take the products back.
Wow.
And then Craft House decided, you know what? We're going to pull the plug on everything. Just forget about it. So they just pulled the plug on the RC Lowrider cars. They just came out with those in 1/18 scale and 1/24 scale. And they pulled the plug on the third ones as well, the line
Mhm.
control one as well. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I know the homies and all that, but I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
And the homies was already kind of iffy, but they were like, okay, it's a brand that's really like deeply invested into the Lowrider culture, so we're gonna do it. But then when with the bikini girls, the hotties, they were like, ooh la la,
Yeah.
they crossed the line, man. Yeah.
No, the homies are cool. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so funny.
definitely.
You see the homies little figurines, and you're like, hey, I know a guy looks just like that. Like I see one looks like Tony all the time. See?
And they got tons of it, And I didn't know before, but they sold it in those how do you call it? Those
Yeah, the quarter
vending
machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, little
So
ball, little
cool.
ball thing. You take it out. Yeah,
So
that's where I
cool.
first got them. Was from
Sick.
that. What's funny is because I do some events with my clothing brand. I do something called a Patch and Pin Expo.
Oh,
They have those throughout California, and then I guess one of the artists or the guys like who I don't know if he started it or what with homies, but he was there and he was like doing some of the artwork. He had all the homie stuff out there,
cool.
and there were some cool people. But man, they got this even to this day. They're doing some cool things.
Yeah, I think that they will be there tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
He'll be here. Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
remember I told you that one guy who I met, he was with those guys. Okay, I didn't know he was gonna be here. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, super nice.
Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to the Lowrider NorCal, Lowrider Magazine NorCal show. So
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why I was able to meet up with you because I tend to do more events nowadays, whether it be car shows, off-road shows, lowrider shows,
Cool.
with my clothing brand and without. I mean, we came out here to attend the show and then to speak with
Yeah.
you. So that tends to be a lot of fun in general. But I didn't get a chance to bring my kids. But when I bring my kids, like they love lowriders. My girl has my oldest has a 64 Impala. It's
Oh,
blue.
really? Cool.
But she got started in RC. How long do you think it was? Because I bought a Traxxas Evo. Yeah, and I had Yeah, I had bought one and I brought him a body. I wanted him to do pink because he was doing
Nice.
something.
Hydro dipping.
Yeah, he was doing hydro
Oh.
dipping.
That's sick.
Yeah, and then I mean, I was doing other stuff, but I didn't really have too much experience with like painting bodies, so I
Yeah.
knew you did, and then so I got that for her, and she loves it. So,
He still has
Nice.
it till this day. That thing is like,
What?
hey, what, 6, 7 years old?
Well, okay, so here's what's
Serious?
funny. So is Traxxas recently had a recall for some of their what was it? Their pads for their what was it? It was for their clutch.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. I know what
They
you
had
mean.
they had a recall. So it didn't affect the U.S., but it affected like European countries, right?
Of course.
And so if you had a certain serial number, you had to do it because it had traces of asbestos. And most everything has traces of asbestos. And the most part, I did a video on it on YouTube, and I did pretty well because
really?
I did it like the story broke, and then I did the video within like 2 hours of me hearing about it. And I posted it, and I started just getting views and views. Not like a ton of views, but for me, it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny. So that car that you worked on was part of that recall. And it's so funny. I was like, oh, man, I have one. But I was like, I'm not going to do this. It's just a little bit of asbestos. That'd be fine. Everybody has some asbestos
I
somewhere.
still have that video.
Which one?
The one where you showed your daughter.
Oh, yeah, I did
Yeah,
it.
so I'm looking through it through my
Oh
Instagram.
my
I think I
goodness.
Yeah. No, she loves it. Like,
I'll see if I have it and I'll show you.
so like for me, I take my RC cars everywhere. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's a lowrider show. It doesn't matter any of that. Like I'll do like the off-road trucks. I'll do off-road shows.
Cool.
And then I'll take some of the lowrider cars. Everybody's just like in awe of it. I did something called the Ventura Nationals hot rod show.
Oh, cool.
So I took my F450, hauling one of my C10s, and everybody loved it. Like it's one of those things everybody relates to. So I can see like
Yeah.
you growing up and like just getting so passionate about it
Yeah.
because my daughter being 8, like she's passionate about everything, and especially for me, like her dad, she wants to. Right now, she looks up to me. She's only 8. That might change in the future. I don't know if you have any kids, but
No, I don't have it.
everybody tells me.
Nobody's looking up to me. Well, kids not. I think. No, yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody tells me that, oh yeah, when she turns about 14 or so, 12, he's gonna be not want to talk to you. I'm like, oh, it makes me
I'm
sad.
not sure. I mean,
know, but I feel
you're
like-
a dad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's different. I mean, mothers, yes. Mothers and daughters, yes. But
Yeah.
dads, and I'm not sure.
Right now, everything that I do, like I don't try to influence her. I just do it, and then she wants to
Very
be a
good.
part of it.
Yeah.
So like with the RC car back then, I got it and she loved it. And she was really young. She's like seen it go up the freaking like grass and go off the
Sick.
sidewalk. And then now with the RC cars, with the lowriders and stuff, like she loves it. So like we went to
Nice.
we were telling you earlier when we weren't recording that we went to the Arizona or was it the Arizona Las Vegas
Yeah.
show,
Yeah.
and we won all kinds of stuff in the raffles. And I bought all the tickets. I got like $100 worth of tickets, and my thing is like I knew I was gonna win because there wasn't that many people, right? So every time I would win, I went up to the first time I think, and then I sent my other daughter, but these little girls, man, she's like, when are we gonna install my interior that I won? I'm like, girl, that was my ticket. Yeah, but it's from my car. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
So then she won one of the steering wheels.
Oh,
right?
nice,
So
nice.
Brian gave one of those as part of it, and then she was like, "Are we gonna put that in my car?" She's like wondering, and then I don't know what daughter won the body, the Cutlass, right? And then she was asking, she's like, "Are we ever gonna paint that?" And I was like, "Oh, we gave it to Tony." She's like, "Oh, is he gonna paint it for me?" And I'm like,
Whoa.
so like she's very possessive of her stuff. Like she wants it, so she has plans. I was like, well, maybe we'll do like a dance or something for your Impala, but she's super into
So
it.
who does the actual work?
As far as like
something on it.
she just wants to hop it. Her thing is, I have videos of her. She'll drive it around a show,
Yeah.
and then she'll get like a little crowd, and she'll stop on purpose, and she'll do a 3-wheel.
Oh, really?
She'll start hopping it on purpose,
Oh.
and then she'll look around and see if there's people watching, and then she'll start driving it again. She just loves it. Loves the attention. So, and then for her,
funny.
she's very like mechanically inclined. Like she loves
Oh,
to build
really?
things. She likes to she learned how to crochet. So we just had a baby,
Oh.
and she crocheted her new sister a blanket like
That's
by
good
herself.
to hear.
So she's getting good. That's why like I encourage her if she wants to do RC stuff, because
Yeah.
it's a lot of you gotta be certain smarts, right? Like
Yeah.
like when I talk to Tony, he starts talking about all these things with servos, and just like okay. Like I went to a hobby store earlier, and he was telling me about something rate of whatever's talking to these guys, and I'm just like, I don't know, torque, and like yeah. So yeah, so hopefully she learns about that. But for you, since you do a lot of this stuff, like where's your background? Do you have like are you an engineer? Like how'd you get into all of this?
I always was fascinated with mechanical stuff. So
Mm.
I went to the library, and the books I got had always something to do with mechanically engineering or something with robotics or usually like what I loved the most was like the simple stuff that made it work, So nothing. I mean, to create very difficult stuff is for me is probably more easy than to come up with really easy stuff that works like really well. And when I get to the library, the most easy stuff that I wasn't really fascinated with. So, for instance, like the telegraph that I was talking about earlier, it was like a very simple device, just tick, 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 and an electric shock went to the other side, and it started moving as well. So that's the stuff that I really liked. And I made like ridiculous stuff when I was in a young age. I made like, for instance, I had my bed, like my blankets, I had it made on 2 wires. So when I got up, I just pulled the wires, and my blanket got out from my. I was like, yes, this is so convenient. This is so automatic.
That's something my daughter would do too. That girl, she's smart, but she's kind of lazy too.
A crazy ways. I also made like a bed out of I call it a toilet roll, like an empty toilet roll card. Made a bed, and when you open my door, the bed comes at you. Like that kind of weird stuff, because I love that stuff.
Yeah.
All things that were moving and that were like weird, and some stuff that I saw in television series or movies. I was like fanatic about Star Wars, so I had to make me like a stormtrooper helmet out of paper mache and that kind of stuff, because we didn't have a lot of money back then. My parents, they hardly got by. We had to like save money for 10 years to buy our first cheap car. Mm-hmm. So I had to make everything myself. Going to the movies was like on a very rare occasion. So Star Wars was a no-go, but I still got to see a lot of stuff on television and some pictures. So I was like, oh, damn, that's so cool. So I wanted to have something that was like for instance, when I saw the AT-AT, I was like, oh, damn, I wish I had the money. But it was ridiculously expensive back then. So I just made one out of cardboard boxes, with kind of small wooden sticks to it, so I could position it. I was super happy with it. And I mean, that was the toys that I made. And I got a lot of stuff I learned from Chinese guys, because I went to a school where 75% of the kids were Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was a very popular school amongst Chinese kids, and they learned me a lot of tricks, how to make some weird toys, like a stiletto with rubber bands and
like
everything.
The popsicle sticks and the
so sick. I like pistols, with rubber bands and match boxes and everything. And I was like, oh, it was so cool. Learn me more. I want to learn more.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's so funny. So I was always intrigued by all kinds of stuff like that. And but no, I don't have any engineering background. I went to the School of Graphic Arts.
Okay.
I did that for 4 years. Then I got another education also on the School of Graphic Arts to become like a designer.
Okay.
I designed for 1 month in a company, and I had it. I had enough of it. I was like, this is not my future. I don't want to do this. I don't want to sit in the office behind a computer and just make adverts or whatever. No, that's not my passion.
It's crazy how you can tell, like, you thinking that I want this as a career, but once you sit down and actually do it, it's like, wait a minute.
I mean, I come from a creative family and from a creative background. My granddad was a painter. My father was very creative. He's a woodsman, so he created organs back in the days. But unfortunately, he got tuberculosis, so he had to stop working at that business. It was a super nice business.
These are organs like piano?
Yeah,
pianist?
like a church organs.
Oh, okay.
Like with the pipes and everything. Sick.
Like
really. Oh my goodness, super sick. And it was his passion, but unfortunately, he couldn't work there anymore because of his illness. And so later, he became an optician. But he still had all these skills, and he showed me how to work with wood, how to work with tools and everything. So I got to learn a lot from him. My mom was very creative as well. She did all kinds of crazy stuff, like painting and everything, like almost like the Martha Stewart, you have over here. That's what she was. She was all about, like that. Like she did everything. She taught me how to paint with a small brush and everything. So we had a very creative background. We were always creating things, and also because we didn't have a lot of money, so we got a little, very creative.
Kind of like the perfect storm.
100%. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. But at a certain age, I became very involved with skateboarding. I started skateboarding when I was 9 and got really into it like when I was 15. And that influenced me like to the max.
Yeah.
Because you get in contact with so many cultures, subcultures, people on the streets, and you learn a lot from everyone. You go to concerts, you listen to all kinds of different kinds of music. And at one point, I decided, I don't want to work at the office.
So you basically started skating.
Yeah.
The Tony Hawk era was up.
Yeah. I was I started skating 79.
Okay.
And then I quit like for a short period of time because I didn't have the money to invest in new skateboards. And then I started when I was 12, 13 years old, and then I never gave up on it. I stopped, I think around 45, I stopped skating. I still do it at times.
Yeah.
Like last summer I rolled around the park. I really loved cruising the park, but I can't do all this shit anymore. I wish though, but I can't do it anymore. No, gravity changed like dramatically.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Yeah. No, my mom and dad, like my dad did a lot of mechanical stuff. So like me growing up, I was always like, doing little projects. Kind of like my daughter. My mom was always like doing like craft fairs and like making these things. She would get like these balloons and put like glue and thread through it and make like this little egg and like all this stuff. So like that's where I kind of got like my idea. And I would touch here and there on stuff like with the model kits. I would enter them the fair. I'd win first place. My dad would help me. And then like when we talked about my C10 that we had that issue where it messed up at the outside, and Tony had that issue and he was trying to fix it. And I was like, man, so Tony was like, don't be mad. And I was like, I'm not mad. But in my head I was like, I loved that body. I waited forever to think about it and pull the trigger. And then it sat there for a little bit, and that's when I kind of had that idea of like, I'll paint it. So that was kind of my first touch in it. But like after doing it, like I get obsessed and I want to do it again. It's just I don't have the time.
Yeah, that's it.
To really like invest into just focusing on that.
Yeah.
So I'll touch here and there. And I was at a Target the other day, and I'm sure you like everybody like guys like they see Hot Wheels and they go up to them. So I saw this pack, and usually they have the packs, and in the packs they have like the newer cars, and sometimes you'll find them in the single packs.
Yeah.
Well, they had like I don't know, maybe like a 20 pack, and it had a 66 C10, like the one that I have. And I was like, oh my god, I need that. So I told the girls, like, girls, we need to find this truck right here. So we're all digging through the Hot Wheels. We couldn't find it. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna have to buy the big pack. But I needed two of them because I got two C10s.
Oh damn!
So I bought two of them, and now we have doubles of cars. My girls, they play with them, so they'll be fine. So I'm gonna pull those out. I'm gonna paint them to match those trucks. So they're like the RC version of those trucks. So eventually I'll have those out. But
but now you're talking about Hot Wheels. I just remember my dad. He bought us every week a Matchbox car because in Europe we have these Matchbox cars, made in the UK.
Yep.
And every week he bought one for us, so we have a whole collection of Matchbox cars, and I was so happy with it. But it's something so wonderfully that you forget about things like that.
Yeah.
Now you're bringing it up the Hot Wheels cars. I'm damn. That's what my dad did every week. One Matchbox car.
And it's probably the same thing, probably like with your dad. Like I know you talked about like your upbringing and you guys didn't have as much, but like for me, when I go to a store, my kids, they cry. My kids are spoiled. I'll buy them what they want, but just because like, I just do. But the cool thing about Hot Wheels is they like them. And you go to like nowadays they're like $1.25.
Yeah.
So they're like screaming and crying. Hey kids, you get a Hot Wheel, like $1.25, like whatever. They're happy. They get the car they want. They have the tracks and they jump them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
When we go out of town for like there's one trip we took to Long Beach. My wife was doing something for business, and so we got her track and we set it up and went to the lobby area, like where they have like a conference center. We were just launching them. And so we were playing a game. Whoever can launch it the furthest, you leave it there. And then we take the other one, we launch it. Okay, you made it further, you win, right? So now every time my girls, they pack up in their luggage all their Hot Wheels and all their tracks and they take them to the hotel. I think it sucks is that you can't replicate that one time.
Yeah,
but we try.
Yeah,
we try.
True. I know what you mean.
But
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I always pick the American cars. I know I had one of those Pontiacs, like this long 70s style, 60s Pontiac. So like a long, and my brother always picked the UK cars because he was more like into the Jaguars. And I also, because I was imagining driving one, I was, that should be so nice, like almost like a magic carpet ride, like floating, So I was already imagining, like, that must be so nice to drive in one of those cars. And back then in the Netherlands, you hardly see any US cars. We had like one big car occasion store shop that sold like all the expensive American cars, like the Lincolns, more the luxury type US cars. So I was always like mesmerized by those cars. And one guy on our street he owned this tobacco store, and he always had a US car. He always wanted to have a US car, but always the luxury cars, the Lincolns. I was always fascinated when he was driving into the street with his cars. But only when there's like a funeral or with weddings, then you see US cars in the Netherlands. Yeah, but no, hardly any.
Yeah,
there was always a sight.
It's so crazy. Those little pieces of metal, they inflate like such a like emotion and response to like your memory.
Yeah.
So like I've been doing a lot more with like YouTube, and so I bought this I was telling you the Bigfoot RC car Traxxas makes. Yeah. And when I first saw it, and I was like, this is just like the one that I remember when I was a kid. So I was like, I looked everywhere I had a Hot Wheels, and it was one of the older Hot Wheels. it was like 90s or something like that, and the wheels would come off.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
you would have a little wheel so you can store it when you're driving
Yeah,
into the
cool.
truck, right? And
Yeah,
so I found it and I bought it, and I was just I put it meant a lot more to me when I did the video than other people. But there's a couple guys who commented, "Oh yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
car." So
It's sick how it works, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's why
super
even
nice.
looking at like the cars I like now, like it's just
Yeah.
people always say stuff, oh, toys and this and that, but I'm like, no, there's a lot of emotion
Nah,
that's
exactly.
inside of these cars. When you're looking
Exactly.
at like a 64, you're looking at even
Yeah.
the new one that you're coming out with.
Like my
Yeah.
green one, that just like the one I had.
Yeah, he
Oh,
had
really?
one. I always ask him, like, why'd you sell that? Every
Oh.
time. I probably gonna ask you on the way back, why'd you sell that? What's wrong with you?
I see. Yeah.
Man, it's I'll never remember taking my mom on a ride on that car, man. And ever since then, it's like, yep, it's gonna stick with me forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how it works with those things. Yeah, you got a lot of memories attached to it and a lot of emotions attached to it. Yeah, definitely. And it's still like when I'm working on these cars, I'm still feel like this little kid that's looking up to his dad who owns the real thing, and I'm building one in small scale, but still feels like the real thing. That's pretty much where the whole fascination for me came from. That because a lot of people ask me, why don't you have like a real Lowrider car? And I always try to explain to them, it's the fascination, almost like the desire to own the real one, but I put the desire into my scale model cars. That's how I look at it. I like I already explained, I look at it like my dad has the real thing, and I want to be like impersonating my dad as a kid and trying to make like in a scale. That's what's the fascination for me. It's all about like creating the scale Lowrider cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can see that. I mean, having the real car too is a lot of upkeep. Like it was expensive too. Like, we had a 70 Chevelle, and I wouldn't even drive it that much because it's just it just sits there. And then it started it up and something went broke, and you got to fix this. And like we see the RC cars, you can break some stuff, but you get it and you want to keep it a certain way. You can keep it like that.
Yeah.
So
and I've heard from a lot of guys, some guys who own like the real cars. There was like this interview with guys from I think also from up north, and they told this interviewer, he told them I got a real car, but I spend more time creating this because it gives me the same kind of satisfaction, same kind of vibe, the same kind of excitement. It doesn't cost me an arm and a leg like what I spend on my real car. So they got the same kind of vibe coming from working with these scale cars. So I'm like, damn.
It's not like if you're working on your real car, you break something. It's not you go to the store and find it. I mean, for a classic car, you
exactly. Yep. Exactly.
These RC cars, you just go to your local hobby shop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's how it is. Yeah.
So when did you like transition from being where you were just kind of doing stuff for yourself, tinkering, building, researching, doing all that? When did you actually turn it into like a business, or when did you decide I'm gonna actually turn this into something like a business?
I never really decided to turn it into a business, to be honest. There was at one point there was kind of the desire to make money from like YouTube videos or whatever, or Google AdSense ads on my website. I just wanted to show everyone what this whole skill lowriding thing was all about. I wanted to promote the hobby, like dozens of my friends did already. I wanted just to put it out there. I wanted to travel the world and show people with the small model car what you can do with it, and show people what lowriding for me like in scale is all about. And I decided to make some more money when I started to make my own parts for the 125th scale cars. I made my own wheels and I casted them, and home was a shit out of work. And I made a small amount of money, but it was just enough to get by and doing work at the office on the same time. So I worked like for 36 hours at the office, and in my spare time I created these parts. So it was like a good deal. But I only spent like 5 years at the office, and I was like, no, this is not for me. And that was like in 2015, I quit.
Okay.
Because more or less my whole life, the things that I've seen the most were toilets and bathrooms, because I was a cleaner. I cleaned like so many offices. It was ridiculous. I've seen everything. I also worked at this immigration center where all the immigrants came first, so they had to wait for their permit to stay in our country. And I met all kinds of different people, and you had to, oh man, the shit I've seen. Oh, fuck. I don't even see a picture before me. It's crazy. But that's what I did, because it made sure that I only had to work from like 6 to 11 in the morning.
That's good.
And the rest of the day I was off. I could go out skateboarding. I could build ramps. I could do model kit building. I could do whatever. But I had just enough to get by, it was perfect. Because I was not in it for the money. I was just trying to have a good time. trying to travel around, and that was my whole purpose. And I did that until I was 42 or something like that. Yeah. Just working jobs like that.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of stuff in between. I created video clips for a couple of Dutch artists. I created skate parks, indoor, outdoor. I designed stuff. I did a lot. I screen printed t-shirts in my bedroom. I did a lot of creative stuff, like ridiculously amount of stuff, because I was always interested in something and I wanted to learn the skills, and I learned it pretty quickly. And I was selling some stuff, but it was not like a business that I made money enough that I could just do nothing at the side. No, I always had to work at the side, always. But yeah, I spent my time wisely, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. No, I mean, I make my t-shirts too, but yeah, I kind of dabble in a lot of things because, like, for me, I mean, we have 4 kids, you know, married and all this stuff, but it's like I can't. I gotta stay busy too. Like, if I'm not here, like I'm at home, like I can't necessarily sit still. So like when we do the t-shirts, I so manufacture holsters. I can do all this other stuff. We go to events and shows. So it's like I feel like if you stop, like kind of just like you're not doing anything, you kind of get like bored.
You get lazy.
Yeah, lazy. You do get lazy when you kind of stop too. So,
but some people have like this writer's block. I never had that.
No,
there's too much on my mind, like 24/7. I can't. I was telling my wife, I can't imagine to ever retire or anything. There's not a word that attaches to me, like retiring. No way. There's always something to create or something to make. And and right now it's also that I can turn it into a product, which is like a next level thing for me. But back in the days, it was all about creating, coming up with new stuff, and it still is pretty much, it's the same thing. But I have to say the only downside starting the business, because we started the business like really business after Redcat came out with the 64. The downside is that there's hardly any hobby time left.
Yeah, I can see that. Like I used to do a lot in the shooting industry. Well, you know, and so like it turned into like, you know, I was doing so much, I was doing all the stuff, and then before I knew, I wasn't even shooting anymore. I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And so now, like, I'm trying to keep it like not to do anything like too much business wise with like RC, because like I just want to just focus. Like my wife, like I tell her an idea, and I get to Tony all the time, like she'll go like 100 steps ahead of me. Like I say, I have this idea, and she'll like, that's a great, and then she'll like turn it into like, and then I you know, I didn't want to do it anymore. So like I try to limit myself, because I want to keep it, like you said, kind of fun. Because then you know, if you take it out of the hobby, there's like you kind of get demotivated. You don't want to do as much. Yeah. So like when I'm trying to do like my content creating and like stuff with RCs, I try to just take it a step at a time. And I have some aspiration to do some stuff with like some rock crawling stuff in the future and things. Cool. But I totally see where that can turn into like more work than it is fun. And then you lose that.
The other downside of the person that I am is that I can get very obsessive with things. And at one point, my parents took away my toys, or my we had this mechanical type of Lego, you know, where you can put all kinds of constructions together. But it was called Fisher Technique. It was a German brand, and I was totally obsessed with that stuff. Because I wanted to create more and more and more, because you could create like roller coasters and everything. And I was like, oh, and I got so obsessed that I didn't want to go to school. And when I was at school, I was just only thinking about this and how to create this and how to construct this. So I didn't pay any attention to what was going on in the classroom.
I know.
It was really terrible. And so once I got like this obsession going, it was terrible. I didn't want to go to school, do anything else than only being busy with this.
Because you knew, like, I could create something, man. I want to finish
it. And there was no level. There was always more. And that's the thing I recognize with myself at the moment as well. Once I got into creating parts for the RC Lowriders, I'm like, oh shit, I got so many ideas. It's literally too much. And I want to keep making more parts and making different parts. And you get so swamped up in it. You're like, shit, I totally forget about even working with my own parts and you know, hobby time. So that's definitely a downside and a trap for me as well.
Yeah, that's something I guess when you think about like being an entrepreneur and having a business, that when you have a mindset, like when you first started telling me, you know, being creative and you kind of get obsessed and stuff, you know, I always kind of think of myself, like, how am I like that? And I always look at like my kids and my daughter and stuff when I think about them. And like some of the things you're saying, it's like, that's where people like you, like myself, like Tony, where we kind of like stand out for people like who can't do it. They work at the office. Yeah. But there's people like you who I feel like who become successful because you have that drive, you have that creativity, and you have that mind that's always going and going and going. So like when I look up somebody like yourself, I always like more than even the RC stuff. Like if I didn't know too much about RC stuff, but I was just talking to you, it's like, yeah, like this guy, like he's like me. Like we have these like crazy thoughts. We can't stop thinking about things. We got to get things going. So
but it's I have to say it's too intense at times, and also because now has become part of the business, and it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, to be honest. Because sure, I love creating the parts, producing parts, manufacturing parts, but I still love the hobby side as well. And the only time I can really relax is when I'm behind the bench and creating something, working with my own parts, creating a model like this one. I mean, I had to rush it for like in a week's time. I only had like a week's time to finish it, but the time that I spent on it, I was like, yes, I'm finally creating something. Finally being creative again, you know, after a long period of time. Same with the bed dancer. I didn't have that much fun in a long time working on the bed dancer, constructing the Z-Rack, you know, and everything. I was like, damn, this feels so good.
Have you seen that truck?
Which one?
The Z-Rack truck dancer that he has?
That one over
there? That was like one of the early ones, but I made one in 1/10 scale as well.
I may have seen it in passing.
With the spinning bed, with the spinning bed and everything. Yeah. I love that one.
Before we go too far on that, so what was your first thing that you put out? Like when you first kind of
product-wise?
Yeah.
I think it was the wheels.
Wheels?
Yeah, the
okay.
wheels, yeah. Yeah, because of the small percentage that I got from Redcat, I invested it like right away.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine was clever enough to tell us, okay, you should try to get a deal with Redcat to do drop shipping.
Yep.
Which we did, and that turned out to be a great success. And we got enough money to have to, get the wheels manufactured, and that started the ball rolling.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. And we're really happy with the success of those wheels. And from then on, we could create more stuff. And oh man, I still got tons of ideas. It's just, it's terrible. My wife always tells me, "Oh, we need to go on holiday more. We need to go outside, go to a restaurant or whatever, just to keep your mind of things."
Yeah. So, unfortunately, and unfortunately for me, like when I want to look at that time and we go on vacation, I could probably do it, but then I have like my partner, my wife, like, yours like, oh, let's go on vacation. Mine's like, let's go on vacation, but stand right here. I'm gonna take a picture with that shirt. Did you bring an RC car with you? Because let's go do a photo over here. Bring it with you. We can do a hop like session over here. I'll have like all this stuff. So like, yeah, vacations are nice, but for me, my time is like when I sit down right here and I get to an event and I'm just like, okay, and I mellow out because I can kind of relax.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, to come out here to the US to these events, that really relaxes me. Yeah. Because I can spend time with people, talking about RCs, talking about all kinds of different stuff. And that's the thing that relaxes me the most, to be honest, because I'm not busy all the time thinking about creating parts or thinking about the business. So I always love coming out here and meet all the people. Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah. Has it always been Lowriders? Because like for me, like I built that ramp and I told him I got this Arma Notorious. I freaking launched that thing and I break it every single time. But having to do backflips and going to the skate park, and he's like, "You take it? That's why your brakes is you're on the cement." I was like, "Yeah, but it needs to be in the air. It's a plane, but not really. It's like wheels."
You know what?
Are you into any other RC cars?
No, I was never into RC cars, mainly because of the expensive side of it. And when I was young, we had 2 RC stores in my hometown. And I always went there and was like, oh, damn, I wish I had the money. But it was ridiculously expensive back then. So I never got into it. But I remember going to the track, the RC track. They had like these, how do you call it, these open days that you could visit and you could check them out and maybe become a member, you know. And I was always fascinated with the planes and with the RC cars. So, but I never had the money for it. And just, I kind of lost interest because of that, because I couldn't spend money on it. You got it? Yeah, I got it. Just tighten up a little bit. Should be good. Yes. So people always asking me, so you know a lot about RC cars? I was like, I don't know shit about RC cars. The first time that I entered an RC store was probably in Japan in 2006 or something. And I went in there and I was like, what am I doing here? I have no clue what to look for, what to buy, because I created everything on my own, like going to the hardware store, you know? Using nuts and bolts and strips of aluminum, and that's how I made my RC cars. Because when I started out with the model kit cars, first it was like all line controlled, you know, but my dream was always to make like remote control, RC radio control. So I started out using toy RC cars and just removed the components like the circuit boards, and I learned how to work with the chips on those small circuit boards. And eventually, I think it was 2003 that I bought my first Graupner radio, German brand. And then I thought, oh, this is way easier than working with all these electronic components, which is way more difficult. But I was like, no, this is what I have. I'm going to work with it and I'm going to figure it out. But once I got into the real RC stuff, I was like, damn, it's so easy. It's so easy.
So being, so like being when you're at, like, as far as right now, as far as like in the market, the branding, yourself being in there so long, like, I know for me, I can speak on some things, but like from your perspective, what do you see, like, as far as your company and what it is that you do and you put out, like, what do you say is like the best? Like, I take pride in this. Like when I think of, like, you know, Jevries, like, and myself, I think this is it. Like if somebody's asking me, what does that company mean, or when I think about that, what is it? What do you see that as?
And not particularly like product wise, but I think what I try to do is come up with original stuff. I don't try to create something that's already out there because that doesn't have my interest. So I always wanted to come up with technical stuff. But for instance, like I love the Continental kit we did for the 59. I love that one because I thought it was the missing piece for that car and it should have come with that. The wheels, I'm really happy that I got to work with Ilya from Italy to design those wheels because he had a lot of input on how to make the spoke parts fit together and fit it into the rim as well. So we have a good conversation going on stuff like that. But in general, I'm happy to work with great people. I'm happy to work with my wife, who's very supportive and who helps me with the business. Well, she pretty much runs the business. Yeah, I got to be honest here. Yeah, because she's doing all the internet stuff and all the packing of the products and shipping them out. And she's super supportive. And
the packaging is very nice. I do. The packaging is very nice.
Like,
thank
just
you. As a compliment to that, it's very.
Thank you very much. Yeah, because she's on it. She's like, yeah, well, when I go to a store, I want to have like to do nice packaging.
No, I see like the boutique style of it. Exactly. I see the boutique style of your product. Like when you open the steering wheel and you take it out of the box, you're like, oh,
that's my wife right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna put that. I don't even think I've used the one that I got. I was like, it's still in the box. I open it every once, I look at it and I close it back up and I put it back inside.
Did you hear the story about the guy who got the steering wheel but his wife got to see it first, like the box, and she was like really happy. Oh, now it's coming. He's gonna propose. So he told me the story. Wow. Jay, you won't believe this. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna mess around with her. So it's like, okay. And she opens it and you see the steering wheel. She was so pissed off.
That's great. That is such a great story.
She was so pissed off. It's so funny.
Yeah, really no, funny. That packaging, like for me, like I always I'm creative, but I always think like business stuff. So like when I ask you some questions, I'm just like my brain churning all these things. And then I thought, but I always look at packaging. Yeah, like with my stuff, like that packaging that you have is awesome. And like for the wheels, they just sit nicely in the box.
Yeah.
So like it's
and when you keep it simple, because we want to keep it like authentic. We don't want to do all kinds of like toyish, flashy kind of packaging. We want to do it simple, like black, with either like a silver leaf kind of foil in it or gold leaf kind of foil in it. So very basic, very simple, but still like very well, hardcore is not the right word, but you know, it's like realness.
Yeah, and you seem very, very cultured too. Like, you know, you went to Japan. You said you were in New York with meetings. You know, you had a lot of folks who were in your grade school that were like, you know, from China.
Yep.
So like, any of that influence any of your stuff? Like the people that you knew, like the packaging, or you talk about the spokes and the wheels being from Italy. Like, did that have any influence, or you just know these people, or how'd you even come to?
Well, I think it was already 10 years ago. I needed some guy who could do like 3D design for me. Mm-hmm. And I stumbled upon Ilya. Ilya is originally from Russia, but he left Russia with his mom decades ago. And he lives like on a mountain somewhere in Italy. Mm-hmm. And he has this shack with all kinds of equipment where he vacuum forms his bodies and everything. And he was also very good in 3D designing. So we slowly started to work on some projects together, and we became very good friends, and we conversate about everything online. And it's really interesting also because of all the things that are going on in the world, you know, about Russia and Europe or whatever. Yeah. So it's always nice to see his perspective. So we talk about things like that as well. But we got a really good work relationship and friendship going on. And that's so nice when you got into a hobby. You meet all these different kind of people, and you got a relationship with the people. You become your friends, you know, and you keep in touch online, which that's the really good thing about the online world, that you can keep in touch with your friends and everything. But did it influence me back then? You know, cultural-wise, yes, because it's way easier for me to get along with people from every color or every upbringing or whatever. It's very easy because because I know these people. I've seen these people grow up in different kinds of environments and different kind of conditions. So, and I like that. I like the different type of people, to be in contact with them. Yeah. So in that respect, yeah, it does inspire me. And also like traveling around, you see a lot of things and a lot of people.
How many languages do you speak?
3.
3?
Yeah.
What are those? English?
German,
Okay.
English, and Dutch, of course, because that's my native language.
Yeah.
And Dutch is a kind of weird language. It's really difficult to learn, even for Dutch people. It is. Yeah, it is very difficult. Yeah. Not only like speaking, but it's more like the grammar. It's ridiculous. The good thing is that we have on television, everything is like subtitles. So we learn a lot of English from television, and we had this going on from the day that I was born. Television was always subtitles. Germans don't have subtitles. Everything is synchronized with German actors, so they never got to hear the real voice of Tom Cruise, for instance, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I went to see E.T., the extraterrestrial, in Germany, and it's ridiculous to hear E.T. speaking German. It's like E.T. Anrufe. It's like E.T. Anrufe zum Hause. I'm like, what the?
So you would have rather seen it in English with the subtitles?
Of course I want to see it. Yeah, of course.
That's crazy how that works. I was just listening to something. I can't remember what it was, but maybe it was something I was listening to with Mel Gibson when he did Apocalypto and The Passion of Christ.
Yeah.
It's in the language, but then you have the subtitles, and they were talking about how that has an impact on people, that it relates more to them. They read it, and I was like, yeah, like you're speaking about it in the opposite way.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's crazy how that works.
But also because we grow up with it, so you learn how to read and watch at the same time. It just becomes like one image. I can imagine that if you're not used to it, it becomes, okay, now I have to read the lines, I have to watch the screen again, I have to read the lines. But we're just so used to it, so it becomes like one thing, and eventually you start to learn English. You're like, okay, I don't have to read the subtitles anymore. It just goes along like this.
I learned how to speak English watching cartoons.
Oh, really?
So both my parents are from Mexico.
I
So I was
see.
raised speaking Spanish first.
There you go.
And I was born in San Fernando Valley.
I see.
But growing up, my parents would put cartoons on, and everything was in English.
Yeah.
And that's how I started picking up how to talk English, and then I could finally talk to my neighbors, like I could understand them.
That's why sometimes you'll hear him talk with a lisp, because he's copying Daffy Duck and
Sesame Street language. Yeah, nice. But it's the same thing. I went to this the country Myanmar. It was like is it still a dictatorship? And it was very closed off. And these kids, once we arrived like at a restaurant over there, they got the kids out. They put like small chairs in front of the television, and they were hoping that we could teach them some English, because they wanted to learn English desperately. And it was so funny, because also cartoons, but they were begging pretty much, oh, please, can you learn a couple of English words? And I got to meet these Buddhist, how do you call it, with all the clothes on and everything, Buddhist priest.
Buddhist priest, yeah.
And they had this karaoke thing in their van. I'm like, okay, we only have this like in our own language. Can you please do it in English, because we want to hear how it sounds in the original version? So you have the karaoke next to the van with these guys in red dresses and everything on. I'm like, yeah, what am I doing here? It's so crazy.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's funny. It's really cool.
So like when you have something new, like you talk about the wheels, do you go on site? Like you said, you visit the guy who did the vacuum forming on your new release. So you go to visit, make sure everything's...
We never visited.
Okay.
Never. We never met each other. Also because he lives somewhere on a mountain in Italy.
Oh yeah.
It was like... He does the body. He makes the bodies, yeah. He has like this this workshop, this workspace, a shack, and he can only work there when it's warm enough.
Wow.
And but he creates all the equipment himself. Everything he creates himself. He got the most amazing equipment, like the CNC machine. He created himself. Wow. He just goes on the internet. He buys the parts from everywhere, and he fixes everything up to create his own machines. It's bizarre to see. It's crazy to see. 100%. It's so sick to see. And no, we never meet. Also because I don't think he can speak English that well. I think he has like this translating thing going on WhatsApp, so that's why we can communicate. But hopefully one day he can come over to the US, because I know he would love to be able to attend a show
and to see the product, the end result.
Yeah. And he always loves the pictures and videos that I make with his products over here. He's like, oh yeah, so cool.
I started tagging them on there because I wasn't sure who was making them, and then when the Cutlass came out and you tagged his name that he's the one that did it.
Yeah.
I started following him, and then I started tagging him on.
Yeah.
Now he's loving it.
Yeah.
So like when I saw you post that video too, like for me, because I have another business I manufacture holsters, like for
cool.
firearms.
Nice.
And so I've done vacuum forming. With
Ah.
but I do it with like a membrane over the plastic. So I have the 3D cut or the cut like mold.
Yeah, the plug,
and then I'll take like the Kydex, which is like a thermoform plastic.
Yeah,
it's a lot thicker than the plastic that you have there. And then I put a membrane over it, and then I have a heat sink or a vacuum like sink on the board on the bottom, which provides suction.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I was like zooming in, like seeing like how he was doing it and all that, because like I was like, wow, like I do the exact same process except I have a different layer when I make my holsters. So I thought that was like really cool.
Oh, you saw the video of him like working on the
vacuum. So when it actually has the film, the actual plastic, where it's pliable, right? Because it's hot, because it heats, and then where it's vacuum forms onto the mold.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I knew it was done like that, but hadn't seen like a video.
No,
of it.
because he never shared anything like any footage like that before. So I'm like really happy to see that he finally shared it, because now you can see the whole process, and. There's a lot going on with the process. I mean, there's so many variables going on by creating those bodies. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's from like seeing it just briefly, like it looks very like, and again, I take the forming seriously but it looks very like defined. The definition on it is like there, the corners and the everything looks really really nice. So that's some good forming there for him to build that himself. That's
I think he's very happy
machinery,
with this one. He's very happy with this one because it is one of his favorite models. He loves the more modern type cars. So I was like really excited to do this one. And he does a really great job. I mean, all the nice details are there and everything. Yeah, it looks really sharp. Really great job he did.
Yeah, no, that's good. Like I said, looking at it.
Like pictures do no justice.
No.
I seen it right now at the show. I was like, man, that thing looks
I need one of those.
nice.
Yeah.
Definitely need one of those.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
When do you have a planned date on that one yet?
I think he's working on the injection molded parts. He's gonna do the injection molded, the door handles, the grill. He's gonna do the back thing, the ring over here. He's gonna do as well. So that will probably take a month because it's super expensive to have that CNC cut. So and then we also try to find a plater because we want to have it done like chrome plated. That would be very nice because this grill took a lot of time to do with the foil.
He mentioned me back. He's like, you know where your chromes.
Yeah, the chrome plating for plastic is difficult too. I mean, growing up, my dad had a '54 Chevy, and like he was gonna plate some of the stuff, but even with that, it's like hard. It's harder even for the plastic because
it's getting hard in California.
Yeah. There's hardly anyone doing, especially on a small scale, because now they charge like at least $700 the price. So there's this company in Burbank, and oh yes, please. There's a company in Burbank who does the Oscars, the plating for the Oscars.
Okay.
At first we got like it was like $50 entrance fee, like okay, you have to start with $50 and then everything adds up. And I was like, no, we start with $700 and everything above you have to pay for it. So it's impossible now for a small batch. You have to pay $700 at first and then pay a lot more on top of that, for every rack you had chrome plated. So it's impossible to do it right now. I mean, I have my wheels all done in China, like the metal plating. I didn't want to do vacuum plating. Okay. That's like vaporizing aluminum gases, so to speak, on the plastic. But I noticed that it fades.
So it fades like just over time or by
over
touching
time,
it?
Over time.
Okay.
Yeah, also by touching it because they spray like a clear coat, a 2K clear coat on top of it. But I noticed that it starts fading like after a couple of years in the sun, etc. So I definitely wanted to have like real metal plating. These are like real metal plated. There's like a copper layer first, and then they do the metal plating. And I think it looks way nice. You have this deep shine, there's real metal. And there's also like real gold plating, 24K gold plating as well.
I don't think I've seen anything like that.
I was just gonna say, so what you're saying right now, as far as the plating and how you did it, is that something that you just like, I want it done like this, or is it something like you had experience with something else, like, hey, they did it like this, or
no, I wanted to have it done like this, and they offered me, they're like, yeah, we can do it. I was like, serious, you can do it? Yeah, we can do it. The only thing that they were like really, well, this is how it goes on in China. When you have a 3D design, especially with the spokes, they're like, no, we can't do it. The spokes are already too thin. I'm like, well, but I want to have it done like this. I don't want to have it done differently. So you have to push. And they're like, okay, well, we'll try. So they try. And
remember I was telling you earlier about the stuff? Yeah.
And they try, and I think it was a success. I'm like, yes, of course it's a success because I know you guys can do it. I've seen wire wheels on 125th scale wheels that are way smaller, thinner spokes. There must be a way to do it. But at the same time, they had to use, I wanted them to use like the best, stronger plastic, injection molded plastic that's out there. So they did this mix with ABS and some other type of plastic that's like the strongest plastic out there. So that's why the spokes, they won't bend or crack or whatever. No. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. So
Yeah.
when you go through all those different iterations, as far as getting it fine tuned and right, like what do you do when you get it? You test it yourself. How do you
always
test?
Yeah, because sometimes when I get a sample back, you could see like some flash on the cross-leg spokes. The first ones that I received, they had like not a lot of flash, but I'm really picky and antsy. I said, no, there's some flash, over here that I don't like. When you see it through, you can see the edges around these spokes is not really clean. So I want to have it all gone. And they managed that. Then they redid the mold, fine tuning the mold, and then they got rid of the flash as well. So now they got the right pressure going on to make them as clean as possible. So I'm always pushing the manufacturer to make it better. I think right now we're pretty much at the max what can be done with injection molding. I don't want to jump on the 3D printing yet, because I don't think it's not there right.
So I've seen people do like the metal stuff. I've seen some just in January, some people like 3D printing suppressors out of like some metal resin. So like it's good, but it's just like I don't know what the strength how it would be, because I feel like 3D printing is good for prototyping. I feel like it's good for like if you're gonna cast something, right? You can kind of build a mold off of it, but I just don't know how durable it would be to actually put it into use.
Well, the thing is, you want to have like a lot of details on these wheels. Of course, I would love to have like the same amount of details on my wheels, injection molded wheels, as you have on 3D printed wheels, like the SLA type, like with the resin. But it's impossible as of right now. And it's also very, very expensive to do like batches of, let's say, 10,000 wheels. Yeah, but 3D printed,
you'd have to have a shop with like
you pay a hefty price,
running all the same time, with all the power. Yeah,
it's super expensive. Yeah. So for like mass production, to have that many wheels done, you can only rely on injection molding.
Yeah,
and then you know the difficulties and the downsides of injection molding as well. You got to learn about that as well. I mean, not everything is possible, but we will always try to make the impossible possible. So we'll always try to push it to make them as detailed as possible. But it's really difficult.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've looked at some injection molding stuff for things I do, and like even the composite. Like when I was looking at like clips for holsters, like if you go too hard, it becomes brittle and it breaks, and then it's not heat treated correctly, or you get air pockets in it because they didn't mold it right, and you get this. It's just a lot. I can only imagine with the spokes being that small.
Yeah, it's
the headaches that you probably ran into of trying to get it perfect.
I need to be on top of what kind of plastic they use, because a lot of these Chinese companies, what I've heard, are using like secondhand pallets. Pallets are the small balls, the small plastic balls they use to put them in a machine. But they also grind old plastic to make new pallets, and you don't want that, because you get a B grade kind of plastic. And
that little bit of those little pellets that you melt. Yeah, you get a couple of them that don't belong. It'll mess with the entire. It's the chemistry, right?
Yeah, you get that's what it is, exactly, and you mess it up, and then things will start to break eventually, especially on these spoke wheels.
Yeah.
I haven't broken them yet.
No, I tried a lot,
the
but
only
no.
ones that I broken were before I ever got into Jevries was the Redcat ones. And I shattered those things left and right, dude. There was nothing I could figure out.
Yeah.
Until I finally started getting Jeffrey stuff, and never broke any wheels ever.
So from all the stuff that you have, like, okay, so the wheels are good. So like, what about like so you had your servos, and all that. When you had the first one that you did, and you did it, and you upgraded the next, do you have like any plans for like anything in the future? Like what is your you said, that wheel is like just about to like perfection, where you're not able to do too much with it, with what it is. Like where do you have to go as far as your servos?
Well, the third servo was a kind of weird story, because there was like it was weird because it was an accidentally thing that happened. I wasn't looking for servos or to have servos made.
Yeah,
I was just on AliExpress, I think, and I ordered servos, and I ordered helicopter RC servos. So this guy from this company, AGFRC, emailed me back, Mr. Jevries, these are not the correct servos you need. I was like, how do you know what I need? Because he told me, I was looking at your website or your profile, and you're making these jumping cars. I was like, okay. And he told me, these are not working on the jumping cars, because for all the people out there, AGFRC makes all the servos for the RC Lowrider cars. So the Reeve servos are all made by AGFRC. They're rebranded by Reeves, and they're put in the Redcat and Lowrider cars. They're all AGFRC made. So I was like, okay, well, what can you offer me? Well, he told me, we can make special custom servos for you. I was like, really? You can do that? She said, yeah, we can do that. So I was like, okay, that's going to be very, very expensive. And it turned out to be reasonably expensive. Yeah. Yeah. But if I take like 500 or maybe 1,000 pieces, then the price goes down. So I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. I was like, okay, let's do it. Well, fine. So it's pretty funny they approach me instead of me approaching them for
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's really weird. So I was like, okay, now I'm into the servo business.
So,
Crazy.
What made you come up with the name Super Pump? Because that was your first batch, right?
Yeah, you know,
Is it because it pumps and it's super?
you know what?
Don't tell me, come on, man.
Maybe it sounds like a dirty name, Super Pump or something, but it's not like something from the porn industry. No, but the thing is Super Pump. I was looking through these old magazines, and they had these old weird names back in the days. I think they had like the Goliath or something like that going on back in the days. All kinds of weird names. I was like, what can I didn't want to use Piston Pump because I was like, yeah, maybe I should have. Maybe I don't. But I was like, no, I'm going to use Super Pump. I asked Louis or Cal as well, what do you think? What would be a cool name? Well, the servo must be super for hopping. So Super Pump.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's. I mean, it fits. It works.
It's kind of yeah, but and it stuck with people. So I'm like, okay, fine. And some people are like, yeah, well, there's no Super Pump out there in the real world. And I'm like, well, you have no idea what kind of names they used back in the days for these pumps, bro. Oh.
I had a radical car back in the
I see.
early
Yeah.
2000s. I was from Muso Car Club back in the
Oh,
day.
cool.
So the piston pump dealt us with Pro Hopper,
Yeah.
Jerry Lamb, and all that stuff. When we
Yeah.
all used to like, hang out.
Yeah.
The names for all the hydraulic pumps, man, they were so funky. Ass
Yeah.
shit out there.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. And still.
like till this day, there's still
Yeah.
some weird
Yeah.
names.
So weird as names. It's funny.
That's why when he came up with Super Pump, I was like, that's pretty.
Yeah.
I'm surprised nobody came up with
Yeah.
that back in the day.
Yeah, because I wanted to keep it like in the lowrider kind of word thing going on. So I didn't want to do like super servo. No, I was like, no, we're using these things as pumps, as hydraulics, you know. So I wanted to keep it in line with the whole lowrider thing. So super pump sounded like a good name, and a lot of people just use pump for the servos right now. You have piston pump. I think there's another piston pump from another company who made piston pump all of a sudden. So it's weird, and all of a sudden, different people jumped on the servo game, and I'm fine with that. I mean, it's good. The more variety, the better. I mean,
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna ask you too. Like, so as far as like, so you put that out. I know, like, as far as like, you know, anything out there, like you see as like, hey, I see this coming in the market, or like, not necessarily like they're like competition, but to the extent of like, you know, I see more of it out there, and you kind of look at yourself like, what am I doing? Because I feel like you're leading the pack. You know, when I feel like when you reference a super pump, somebody will say, do you have a super? Maybe they're not talking about your brand, but they'll say, I need a super pump. To them, they need a servo to hop.
Yeah.
So you kind of created that mentality of, I want my car to hop, so I need a super pump.
Exactly.
Even though maybe they're not even referencing your name, it's kind of like that's what it's known as now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's what I like about it.
So,
That's super cool.
So
That's super cool.
And that's a good thing, right? As far as like marketing and all
Yeah.
that. So like when you think about all this other stuff, do you see anything that's out there? They may be like, hey,
I gotta be honest, because this is a hobby that turned into a business. I definitely had to get used to the business mentality of things.
Yes.
When I started out working with Redcat, I had to get used to the business mentality of things.
Uh-huh.
And the same goes with all the other products I created. At first, I was very protective. I've always been super protective about my stuff. But you need to learn to let go of that. I mean, everybody has the right and is entitled to create anything for these cars. I mean, I'm not...
You're talking about gatekeeping.
Exactly. But it's bullshit. I mean, once you learn that the opposite is true, that you're going to sell more because of other people creating stuff as well, then you're like, oh, damn, I was worried about nothing, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. That's true. So at first you're like very protective about your stuff, but then like, no, just let go. Let everyone do their thing.
Yeah.
That's the most fun ever.
So like in my experience, so I've always loved RC cars. I'm in it, but like the industry I come from is a lot. I don't know if it's, let's say, bigger, because as far as like what it probably produces is probably very similar as far as, you know, the end products, but I manufactured holsters. So when you think about like that perspective, there's thousands of companies that make this product. And I'm one person out of these thousands of companies that have been doing it way before me.
Yeah.
They're going to keep doing it after.
Yeah.
But when I did it, I did something different. And I still exist to this day.
Yeah.
And my wife, when she first when I first started telling about the idea, because this didn't really start until like 2011 when the material really became more public and I was able to do it. But I still am in existence. I still produce the product, and I have so many other competitors out there, but there's something different about mine that, makes it unique. So like there could be other people, like when I do I do trade shows, I do gun shows, I'll go to these events and there'll be rows of hundreds of tables and everybody has upper receiver, everybody has all the same stuff.
Yeah.
But there's something different. You walk up to a table, somebody who's selling the same thing for maybe $50 cheaper, and then you have this, but you buy it from this person because there's something you saw, whether it be the quality, the name, the build, whatever it is. And I find that within myself. So when anybody says, like you said about the gatekeeping or any of this other stuff, is like, okay, let that be the case. But who's standing behind it and what are they putting out there? Because there's a difference. Like I said, when I think, I don't want to say too many things. Like I know there's like a lot of like in my head, I have all these one in my head. Well, no, this is different. Like there's certain things like I'm gonna put this on YouTube. So certain things on YouTube I don't want to like say like, oh, I'm trying to get monetized. So I don't want to say anything like in the industry that I'm from. That's gonna get me in trouble. But there's things out there that exist, like polymer, the Tupperware pistols,
I know what you
just call them that.
Yeah.
There's a brand out there. It's like the brand. So when people reference something, they refer to that brand. Yeah. Right. Because that's just what they talk about, and that's why when I reference your brand, you're like the person that they lead. If somebody's, how do I say it? When I think of something, I think of like a super pump, like I said earlier, right? So when you have that, and we talked about the boxes, we talked about the packaging, we talked about, and you talked about going back and forth, and you're very meticulous in how your wheels were put together, and you went back and forth, and you found the right resin, you found the right everything. You didn't like the, what did you say, the sheen or whatever it was. Like not everybody will look at that. I could see somebody putting out a wheel and be like, oh yeah, this is perfect, looks just like theirs, and it's like, it's not. No, it's not. And now people will pick up on that. They'll see that. So that's where, like, whether it be gatekeeping or anything like that, my thing is put it out there. And if it works, it works. But you're going to have to stand behind that product, because I've been in my industry that I sell my stuff for and I manufacture since 2011. And I'm still in existence. Nobody's come, next to me and produce the same product that they have. I'm still selling. So there's something to be said. I've seen companies start up and fail within that 2011 to now time frame. And I'm sure you have too. Yep. So it's like you stand apart for a reason.
Also because I try to come up with creative solutions. Like I already mentioned before, I don't want to repeat things that are already done, already out there. I try to give it my own twist, my own flavor. I got a high quality standard, and sometimes it takes longer because of that to come up with something. I mean, I'm working on a suspension kit, like trailing arm of lower A-arms and upper A-arms for like 3 or 4 years already. Because I always knew in the back of my mind, there is something not correct about this. And I can't put my finger with it, but there's something. And recently I found, of course it's this. I need to change this. So there's probably a reason why I halted it like for 3 years. So now I'm finally going to have it manufactured. The suspension kit looks really nice, all molded lower and upper A-arms. But sometimes things had to cook for a long while, just to finally get them. Okay, now I think I got it down. Now it's perfect enough for me, because I'm also the end user. I want to use my own products as well. So if I'm not satisfied with it, I'm not going to have it manufactured. No, I'm not going to put it out there. I wanted to have my own standard, so I'm going to use it on my cars as well. I'm proud to use it on my own cars. Yeah. So that's a standard, and I want it to look nice. I wanted to have the best materials, and sometimes, we lose money on it. That's how it works. I mean, if you look at the stash of gold wheels I have from the last batch we did, or from one batch before that, it's like, I think almost 1,500 sets of wheels doing nothing, because I won't sell them. Because the gold, I didn't like the gold. And many people are like, what's wrong with the gold? Well, some people complain about it was too dark or whatever. But still, if I look at it right now, I'm like, okay, well, not too bad. But back then it was like, not good. And also like kind of flaws, or like small hairs, of dust were on there. Like, damn, come on.
I've heard a lot of complaints too that it looks like there's brake dust on them.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. Exactly. And that was the thing I was complaining about. In fact, I was like, how can you let dust and shit come on these wheels before you have like coated? Yeah. How come? Yeah. So I was really mad at them, and they decided, okay, Jay, we're going to redo them. You don't have to pay anything. So now I'm going to remove all the tires and put them on new wheels. So it's a lot. It's still a lot of work, because they don't going to replace those tires. You have to use the tires. So we have to do all the sets by hand, put all the tires on there. So it's still a lot of work, but I now we put out a product, and I'm like, yes, I can stand behind this product. This looks good.
Yeah, and I think that's what, like, when you said the gatekeeper stuff, like, and I just want to touch more on that because there's a clear delineation of somebody who does something, who's like innovator, leader, that kind of thing, right? Where I see like you are, and somebody who comes in, and again, I said this, like I was telling you, we were on the drive, and I was telling him, hey, I've experienced things that are going on in this industry, in my industry, or even myself, where like I'll put something out. And I started, like, for example, I started making holsters. I'm not the best. I'm just saying, like, this is how I started. I started making my stuff in an oven to heat the plastic to mold it with 2 pieces of foam on a something that was taped up, and I foamed it and I made it. That was in 2011.
Yeah.
If somebody today want to start to do what I do, they would get a 3D printer. They would print the mold. They would have it cut. They would CNC cut it. They would vacuum form it, and they'd put out a product, and they'd CNC cut everything, and maybe not even touch it.
No.
Where I started in the beginning. So that's where I feel like your difference is, like, as far as like innovation, you have all that experience in the back of, instead of somebody starting now. Like, somebody start today, they're not going to have that eye to see the things that you know. So that's where that experience comes in. So anybody can put out anything. Yeah, let it be. Yeah. But they're not gonna have the eye and the experience and that backs up the product. Let's say you have, I don't know, say like 20, 25 years into that product. Yeah. You have somebody with a year and I can do that, and they go somewhere, they go to the same, whatever it is and get it done. It's not gonna be the same thing. No, exactly. That's where the difference is.
Yeah.
So
I think so too. There's a whole story behind it as well. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, I think. Is that correct? I started in 92. Yeah. I started with the Lowrider bicycles, and in 93 I started with the Lowrider model kit car. So I spent many years. Yeah.
You know how we started the gun holsters?
No. How did you start?
Me and him.
There's a whole story. There's a whole story.
I met him through Airsoft.
Oh, really?
Back in the days.
Really?
I was really big in Airsoft. I used to make speed guns.
Really?
Yeah.
And I used to run an indoor Airsoft, and that's how I met him.
Sick.
Yeah, I would go there like every single freaking day.
Yeah.
And they were just like, who's this guy? He keeps coming in here. And like, is he a cop? Like,
Tactical out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Serious?
They would call me overkill because I would go in with 2 pistols on each side. I would have my magazines flipped around in the pouches upside down without the plates, and then I would have a grenade launcher here, a little handheld grenade launcher with a rifle, and I would go into the close quarters, like just rooms and hallways and like low lights, and I would go in just with pistols and just start taking people out. I stand in doorways hiding like this, and I would have my grenade launcher, and people pass by. I'd launch like 90 BBs at them at one time. It was great. And then we'd go to outdoors, and then eventually later year, because that place he worked at closed, and then I was still kind of into it. There's no place in town. I opened up an airsoft field, and we had that. And then I started building guns, and he was building really fast guns. And then I was like, I'm gonna try to build a fast gun. So I built like a gun with like a dual sector gear and all this crazy stuff. Now they have air pressured freaking guns.
I looked into the technology of these airsoft guns a lot of times.
So the way he came up with the holsters in the airsoft world, this dude had certain guns that nobody made holsters for.
Yeah.
So he started making his own shit.
I see.
And it turned into me for the airsoft guns, into the folks who would come in. Hey, like a cop would come into like a field that I was at, the field that I owned. And they was, I need a holster for this. And then I would sell the gear. So I'd have guys actually in law enforcement come in and buy gear from me. And then they would come play on the side with their friends, because then, they couldn't really do anything. They couldn't do what they wanted to in real life. So they'd go into a field and have at it with an airsoft gun. So, they had a lot of fun. But yeah, it started because of airsoft.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, me and him go way back.
Sick.
Yeah.
But is the airsoft thing still a big thing?
So every January I go to this big event in Vegas. It's like a huge trade show called SHOT Show. Yeah. And I've seen the airsoft business go from where I was, like in 2000. I think we stopped the airsoft field in 2015. We closed it down to focus on other things. It was doing well. We just didn't have the time necessary for it. But even to this day, that industry is growing a lot. Like the things that they have look so much more realistic. They function, and they're so much. So for like, the fun aspect of it, you want to go into a field and do that airsoft, great. And then for the training aspect for it, it's like so realistic now.
Yeah, I can
imagine. It's like the ratio, everything is like the same.
Check this out. So back in the days, they called it AEG, which is had a motor. And then a gear,
exactly. Yeah. With a spring, right?
So it had a spring, whatever. Now they're using paintball mechanism. Oh. So whatever they use on a paintball, they use it on the airsoft guns now.
Oh, really?
And they have BSCs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can control. So we use it for volts. So we use it for what, 7.4?
Yeah.
They use it for rate of fire.
Lipos too, the big lipos in there.
They
Big.
use little stick lipos, like
I see those. I've seen those. Yeah.
So that's kind of a lot of the stuff that I use. I use that information from back in the days into what I'm doing now.
That's funny because I've been looking at those mechanisms. I went to Japan many times, and they sell those because in the Netherlands they don't sell them. They're not allowed.
Oh, Japan is big. Some of the best, some of the ones that I would get, they'd be plastic.
Yeah.
But then you can upgrade them. So like my best one that I had was a 2011 by Tokyo. It was a Tokimuri, and that was the reason why I started making holsters, because it was a 2011 style pistol.
I see.
And that 2011 style wasn't really used as much. I think at the time they had a company called STI, but nobody had STIs because they're like $3,000-$4,000. So everybody had like the other models. So I started making holsters to fit my airsoft gun in the 2011, and then that's where I got into the holsters because of that 2011 style pistol.
Yeah? I bought one actually when I was in Barcelona because they sell those over there. It was way back, I think in '95. I got the chrome or the silver Colt. So I need to have that one. So I just brought it with me. We traveled by bus. So we could bring it with him because by plane, no way. No, if they're gonna check it and they see you have a Colt right there, airsoft gun or not, you're gonna have to give it to them. So no, I still have it, but it's kaput. It doesn't work anymore. So
I know some techs right here can take a look at it.
I don't want to retire with that. Man, I used to build some fast.
Oh really?
He knows about your fast freaking drag cars too, right?
Man, that's a different story. We'll say that for another.
All right, another podcast.
This is about Jeffrey, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Man, people we look up to.
So you said you don't have a date for that, but do you have anything like in the future? You're like thinking like, hey, I really have always wanted to do this. Like, what is your aspiration to, like, as far as like growth? So, like, you know, like when you're a job interview, right? People are like, what do you want to do in a fight? Well, where do you see like yourself progressing to in the industry?
I would, it's kind of tricky because I have some friends that come up to me, oh Jay, you can easily become a millionaire if you want. I'm like, but I don't have the aspiration, the ambition to become a millionaire because that's not what my passion is all about.
Well, that kind of puts a lot of red flags on people that think that way too. Yeah, it's like I'm not doing it for the money. I want to do it because
those are the guys who think, oh, I can do that. That's easy. But really, like you know better. You're like, I just want to take it at a certain pace. That's what they say. Oh, you can make a lot of money. I was like, well, you don't. There's a certain way to do it.
I have to throw my life away for the business. I'm not up to throwing my life away for the business because.
Yeah,
exactly. It's too much pressure for me, and I already experienced too much pressure because I hardly have any hobby time. So I'm like, no, I don't want to become a millionaire because it means more responsibility, more. Why do I want more? I'm living a comfortable life. I can travel. I can meet you guys over here, so I don't need anything else.
If you're comfortable,
I'm comfortable with it. Yeah.
It is what it is.
I'm very comfortable. I'm fine where I am. But a dream that I still have is to have my own RC Lowrider car made. Mm-hmm. I know it's really difficult because it's very expensive and it takes a lot of time to develop something like that. But hopefully, maybe within a couple of years' time, that's something I still dream about. That I can do completely to my own idea, to my own design, having a RC Lowrider created. But I think I'm not sure it will happen though, but hopefully. No, never say never. No.
Yeah, and then, as you not to say that you're not like up in the industry, but as everybody grows, you meet people, you meet other, get people who have different ideas. Maybe you'll meet that right person, be like, hey, I have this idea. And you're like, I kind of had that idea, and you guys can work something out. Stuff like that happens.
It took a long time for me to eventually meet people from the industry. I met people from the industry after I did my first exhibition, gallery exhibition over here in LA. They invited me from the BAM Maltz Gallery in Los Angeles. It was at the Otis College. And I got a letter, an email from them. We would love to invite you over for an exhibition. I'm like, serious? Me, a Dutch guy from the Netherlands?
What was the exhibition for?
It was for the RC Lowrider cars.
Okay.
It was called the Island of the Misfit Toys. So they had a collection of artists that created like kind of weird toy kind of art. And they were thinking like, okay, that would be a nice addition to this artistry because we never seen anything like this before. And the guy who was working there was twin. And Twin is a major member of Majestic's car club in
Okay.
Los Angeles, in Compton.
Yeah.
And he was working there as a janitor. He was like, "Oh, you need to get this guy Jevries over here, man. You should get this. You should use model cars, and you need to get him over here because he was interested in meeting me and he wanted to see my model cars. It was like just inviting him over, you know. So they got arranged a ticket, arranged a hotel stay, and the Dutch embassy also pitched him with money. And I got to spend like 5-6 days over there, and I got to meet Twin and. It was really nice, but they were like, okay, so you have this Dutch guy coming over from the Netherlands to show these RC Lowrider cars. It's kind of weird, you know, because they were thinking we were supposed to get a guy from maybe East LA that was we were showing, but hardly anyone was really into creating RC Lowrider cars back then. It was all line control or whatever, so I was one of the first to do it like on a bigger scale. But that experience was really great. It was really great. It was super fun. Yeah, and that led me to get connected with some guy from Hot Wheels.
Okay.
I think it was Matt Thrasher was from Craft House Limburg, and then I got a contact with Craft House with the line control Limburg hoppers, and they invited me to come over to New York to talk about maybe future products. But so I met a lot of people of the industry. So it took a long time for me to meet the people from Redcat. I mean, it was in 2016 or 2017 that I got to meet them. So
Okay.
it took a long time for me to get something out there to please people. This is a nice product. Come check it out. Just make it happen. Yeah, I was traveling around the world. I was showing these videos online, and Darren from Redcat picked it up online. He saw they checked all my videos out on YouTube. I'm like, damn, this could be something, because Redcat was kind of struggling at the time. They took over this part of a company that he had with a partner of his, and they were doing like ATV, like all-terrain vehicles from China, but they also got pretty much a small portion of RC cars as well. There was like a package deal, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You had to do the ATVs, but along also come the RC cars. So they're kind of struggling at first. The quality was not there, and eventually he was like, "Okay, we need to do something else. You need to figure out something else because everyone is doing like these type of cars." So he's like, "You know what? We got to meet this guy Jevries. We got to see what he has to offer. Maybe he can help us out. Maybe we can do a collaboration." And we finally, I was like, "Okay, these guys are finally serious," because I had talked with people in the past before, like, they were out for a quick buck. They want to produce like a toy or car, and I was not really interested in doing that. And Redcat was like, "No, we wanted to do it like the real thing, you know, with the real suspension, everything, 100% to your idea and everything." Unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be 100% to my idea. But then again, I was really happy to finally be in contact with a company that were serious enough about creating RC Lowrider. And they had the good intention to create something really cool, and that's what they did. But they had no idea what to do with it at first, how to make it hop and anything. So I had to make him a sample, and it was a long journey. It took a long time to make it happen. Yeah, well, it was a difficult journey as well because
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you're all welcome. I enjoyed it as well. You know, the thing that I didn't enjoy, playing with my own RC Lowrider car back when there weren't any RC Lowrider cars available. I was like the lonely guy, like, okay, I am having fun, guys.
Now there's so many people like you who are so crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. And I know that they were really anxious and nervous on the day of the release. They were like, "Oh, Jay, do you think this is going to work?" I told them, I'm 100% positive it's going to work. I have no doubt at all it's going to work.
Because the culture existed for the real ones, and now you're just And what's cool now, and I've seen more of it now, like with the culture of the real cars now, seeing so much more of the RCs at the events is gonna make it even bigger.
I remember when they first came out, I was still racing RC off road.
So
I did that for like 8 years, and I got tired of it.
Yeah.
That's why I got into drag racing.
Yeah.
And after drag racing, I got tired of that, and then.
Tony does get tired of things. Sometimes I'm waiting for me to get tired of this. I'm like, just give me all your RC cars.
I've always had the inspiration for lowriders. I grew up on it, man. I grew up in the 805 and the 818.
Sick.
So
yeah,
part of me.
Yeah.
And the cars, man, it's just like I didn't realize how realistic you could get to them.
Yeah, and it's so cool because you can actually work on it like a real car. You can get rid of some parts. You can use custom parts in it. You know, it's not like back in the days that you had this toy car and you had to redo some stuff because you could hardly redo anything on it.
Back in the days, you had to make your own stuff.
Exactly.
It was
yeah.
never available to you, so you just have to be creative and
Exactly. That's how I started out as well. I bought these Radio Shack cars back in the days.
Yeah.
These 112 Radio Shack cars. And I was like, I want to make it hop radio controlled. So I had to figure.
Did you ever notice the suspension on the old school off-road cars from Radio Shack? That's where I got a lot of the ideas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I never got to see those.
I'm talking about back in the day. Those like late 80s, early 90s, man.
Sick. I was fortunate enough to meet people online that Brian Archuleta, unfortunately, is not with us anymore, but he sent me this big box with all kinds of stuff with the RC, the Radio Shack cars and the Lindbergh cars and model kits, like this big box from the USA. I was like super happy with it, but I didn't have any access to that stuff. And it was like in the early 2000s. So I was so happy to meet people that were offering me to send all this stuff to me. And that's why I could create my first RC Lowrider car using the Radio Shack car. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, mine was with. I had a cousin of mine that was into Lowriders. I have to remember, and he was the first one to show me how a car hops.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So right now he builds like real quick. He's from Majestic's Car Club.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And from that day on, dude, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had to build something.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't available to us, custom make something.
Yeah.
Brings so much joy to me.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hella fun.
Yeah, it's hella
A
fun.
lot of people see it like, where'd you get that from? But I built it.
Yeah.
You did that?
Now Tony gets possessive. I'm like, yeah, check my. I built that car. I was like, hell, whoa. No, but yeah, like when I told Tony, when I first saw Tony in the cars, I was like, no, I can't. I even told him no. I told him I can't for the lowrider stuff. I mean RCs I've always been around and into, but with the lowrider stuff, I told Tony I can't. I know I just can't. For a long time, I resisted for like at least a month.
Why? Because of the money?
Well, because I get obsessive, and I told him if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna want to do everything. So then at one point I said. So I went to the Arizona Super Show last year. Yeah. And I met the guys at Redcat, and I went through there, and he already was into it. I took his car with me to the event. I had it on display. I made the shirt. So I designed the shirt, and I came up with the name Green with Envy. I did that because I was trying to think. I wanted to use his car, but I was trying to think of something cool. So I was like, I'm gonna do the guy, a skeleton coming out of the car with the money bag. I'm gonna call it Green with Envy. That's where that name came from. And then so I debuted that shirt at the Arizona Super Show. And I showed his car, and I took it around. I was doing photos, and I was doing my media. I'm trying to get more into media. And it was at that show that I bought the Monte Carlo, the black one. I was like, I'm just going to buy it. And it turned into that one. And so I bought it, and my resistance was because I know how I am. Yeah. I know that if I get it, I'm going to do some stuff with it. So then when I came back with that, I told Tony, whatever you do to your car, we're going to do to my car. We're just going to make the same car. I want the exact same thing. Let's just do it. Yeah. So then he started doing it. And then I'm really good with like my media stuff and like all that. So like when he would like come up with something, we'd do like a cool video of it and stuff. So like it's just obsessive because I like doing that stuff. Like I had in 2000, I don't know what it was. I had a 2003 Silica. Yeah. And that Silica, we had it was done purple, wide body. It had Lamborghini doors. I had screens in the doors. I had a screen in the ceiling. I had subwoofers all fiberglassed out with the screen in the middle. I had lighting. I had freaking everything. A Veilside body kit on it, right? That car went to SEMA, and it was great, and I was obsessed with that, and I had to stop. And then I had a 2005 Subaru STI, and I did some stuff to that, and I was like, then I sold it as I can't. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then I bought myself a 2017 Ford Raptor. The truck, right? The white truck. Yeah. I was like, oh, so then I modified that.
I know the truck. I know the modifications.
I got to stop. So then when Tony started doing the RC Lowrider stuff, I already knew I wanted to do it. I knew how I was. Yeah. And now look, since the Monte Carlo last year at the Arizona Super Show, not only do I have that Monte Carlo, I got those two C10s, and I don't even know how many RC cars that aren't even lowriders. I have so many Traxxas, like off-road crawlers, and
but that's funny because I never was interested in any other type of car besides lowrider cars. And a lot of people ask me, are you also creating other types of RC cars? I'm like, no, I'm really dedicated to the RC lowriders or lowrider cars in general. Yeah. That's where my interest is. I have for, and No, there's no room or space to be interested in any other type of car. I mean, of course, I have cars that I like, or that I like. I mean, I love the old Citroën cars, the long ones, the DS with the air suspension or something.
Mhm.
I love those cars as well. But it's not something that I would like to replicate in scale. It's really about the RC Lowrider cars that still has my interest, and there's still so many things you can do with it. Oh man,
Yep. Well, I mean, the body you have starting next to you, that's the
Yeah.
new one. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many cars that people would love to do
Oh
something
yeah,
with.
yeah.
That's why the 3D printing right now is so
That's
big.
What I messaged him the other day. What he could print out.
Which one?
Remember what I told you?
What? Another Lincoln?
95, 96.
Yeah. Well, actually, I know that Ilya already made the 3D file for one. I'm not sure which year of 95, 97 it is. I'm not sure, but he made a file already for it. So he's probably going to do that one next. Yeah. He's going to do that one next probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's and we are so many other cars, but because now we found a new way of creating the molds, which is less expensive and easier to do. So hopefully now we get more bodies out soon. Yeah.
Are the molds you use or that he uses? Do you know if they're like a resin or are they metal? When you
First he uses resin, and now I think he uses a silicone cover over
Okay.
like a wooden plug.
okay.
So it's very easy, like a silicone skin like this thick.
Yeah, it's probably the similar skin that I use for my
probably.
like a silicone. Yeah.
So you can. That's why there's no a cutting line.
Yep.
You notice on the big body Cadillac there's like this line
Or
over
even on
here.
the trucks.
Yeah,
You
even
see
on
the
the
line
trucks,
on
yeah.
the trucks. You see it.
Yeah, that's because
Yeah.
it's like a single piece body, and they had to remove the plug or the mold from it. So it's like in separate parts, like 3 parts. You can put it out like a puzzle, and then you have to put it back together for the new to form plastic. But this one is like all made out of a silicone mold, so there's no parting line or
one
anything.
piece.
I noticed about that body.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
no, like,
No,
Yeah,
no parting
That's what I
lines.
said from looking at it. It's like
Yeah.
it's all like clean.
Yeah, seamless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing with the Kyosho bodies, although I love them, like the 65 Riviera and the 57 Chevy Bel Air. But the thing is, you seen those lines?
Mhm.
It's ridiculous. It looks so ugly. Oh yeah, really. I'm sorry, guys, but
Yeah.
I love the models and I love the injection molded parts that comes with it. But when I look at the body, I'm like, holy shit, how am I gonna get rid of
And
that?
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to fix it.
It's hard to fix.
Yeah, I mean, like the one I did that's patina, it fits because it looks old. and beat up.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then the other one that's all black.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. The other one that's all black, like you can see the line and it kind of bothers me, especially in the back. Like but at least they're consistent. It's on. I have 2 of them, and they both have the same line.
Yeah, but they're like really thick lines. It's not
Yeah.
like there's hardly any. It's like a thick line.
Yeah.
Maybe you can sand it down a little bit, but
can't.
yeah.
No.
But that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even just line. It's the body actually raises on that side. And it stays consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was impressed with the Cutlass too.
Yeah. You did a good job on the Cutlass. Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
good.
You did a good job on that one as
Cutlass
well.
came out real
Yeah.
good.
Also nice sharp lines and
It
yeah.
was-
I need to
I
build me
paid
one
my cost,
soon.
man. It came
Yeah.
out pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had my doubts,
Yeah.
but man, I fell in love too. I grew with it now. So
Yeah, it's such a cool car. I love those Cutlasses. Yeah. But I can imagine a lot of people find it kind of daunting to put together like a clear body and you have to make everything yourself, like how you mount it to the chassis and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do a video. Well, you have a nice and intricate way on how you do your how you do your cut, how you mount it to the chassis, and I do it with like a
Yeah, 'cause
YouTube
somebody
channel.
Posted, when I posted your video of your car, somebody commented on there, how did you mount the
Yeah,
bike?
exactly. I need to show them. I made pictures how to do it. So it's not very difficult, but it's an extra step.
Yeah.
And I know people nowadays want to have the body done like real fast, and I know a lot of kids, youngsters, don't want to spend that much time on having it painted or put all the chrome on there. But yeah, that's how it is. This is part of the hobby.
Is it magnetized or do you have Velcro on it? Or-
It has both. It has like a magnet on the front,
Oh, okay.
and what I do on the rear, I just slide it into this U-channel aluminum strip over here that I glue down. So I just slide it in like this, and you fold it and mount it like this on the front with the magnet, and then you put the Velcro sides on there
Okay.
to make
So
it.
you do have Velcros on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Here.
That stays on there pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on this car, one of my buddies that I built his car for, he wanted me to mount some Velcro or some magnets on it.
Yeah.
And I was having a lot of trouble, so I mounted Velcro on the sides.
Yeah.
But when I got this one, I found a better way to do it, easier,
Yeah.
cleaner.
But what I like about the Velcro is that it gets a nice shape.
Yeah.
So it pulls the side.
That beacon I can understand in the Cadillac.
Yeah, it flares out.
Yeah,
Flares
I
out.
didn't think about the Velcro on the side.
Yeah.
Like, you probably do that on the
So
truck
that
because that
definitely
truck has
helps.
that flare
This
in the
definitely helps
side.
to make it nice and curvy on the side.
Yeah, we need to add that. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
And that's what I like about the new Redcat bodies. I mean, the 65. I got the 65 at home. I love how the shape on the sides curve nicely. Yeah, it looks really nice. Yeah, I love the 65. I'm not too fond of the 63.
Yeah, we went to that hobby store. We went to like whenever we got out of town, I try to stop at least by one hobby store.
Yeah.
So we went to, was it RC Country? It's a really cool store. Like it's a massive.
Big, yeah.
So it's not just an RC store. Like it's like a toy store. I'm not just like,
really?
like new toys. Like they have like old school, like vintage style toys. Like
Nice.
and then they have everything. Like I showed you, I bought that crawler. I bought some wheels for it and stuff. Like, and then they had everything. Like everything that I want. Like they have it. And all the parts. They have
I love
everything.
that.
The first thing I told him when I noticed is they have every size.
Oh,
screw.
he was he was looking at the screws.
Dude, it goes from
Everything.
0.5 all the way to 2.3.
Oh, wow.
You should have gone with us. You.
I know, but I already told you when I go into RC store, I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? What I'm looking for? I went to this RC store in December in Tokyo, and they have that store was packed with stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, what am I looking for? What do we need? Do we need anything over here? But then I saw the bodies, the Kyosho bodies. Were like, I'm gonna buy them. They were like only $45. Just take this one, take that one, and I was some springs. Why not?
That's like me. I didn't need anything when I walked in the store. Look, I came back with all that.
Yeah, because like he said, we just go inside the hobby shops and we just and make videos. Like when he went to Vegas,
Cool.
he found that
Oh.
RC shop.
Yeah. Those drift cars, like I really want to get into drift so bad.
Damn, you should go to Japan.
I know.
Oh, you know what's so cool? You have these guys that have real drift cars, and there was this guy parking his real drift car outside, and it was this hobby store that's like in this weird building on the 3rd or 4th floor. It was like putting up the booth, and he just grabbed his small drift car, so he's gonna have fun drifting his small car.
Yeah.
And then during the weekend, he's gonna drift his real car. It's so cool to see.
Yeah.
So
no, those drift cars.
fun.
So when I went there, it was for that event. I told you I go to Vegas for a week for SHOT Show in January.
Yeah.
And my wife, being the supportive woman she is, she found like 5 different stores. She's like, you should visit this one and this one and this one. So I went to them, and that the one was really cool. And the guy who owns is really young. I did a video of the store.
Cool.
It's called R3 Hobbies.
Check it out.
And it's a little bit off the it's quite a bit off the strip, but like there was that place and another place called Friendly Hobbies. That place was legit too. They had a whole room that is a rock crawling course. An entire room on the walls on the side. The trucks and the crawlers go up into the top and the side.
Like almost the ceiling thing.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yep. And then he had so that friendly. They had that. They had a mini Z drift course.
Nice. I love that. I
small
love the
ones.
minis as well.
And then he had something called Cosmic Racing, which was like Losi makes like the little buggies, and it was a carpet track inside.
Oh, really?
Which was really cool. And then he had a full-on store. So then me seeing that, I was like, I had so many ideas of things I want to do. So we're gonna do something here, like in the next 6 months. I'm gonna do something that'll come out. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
But going to that and then seeing the drift cars and then that R3 Hobbies, like they were pretty serious. There was like probably 10 people on the track. They're all just in sync.
I love
drifting,
that.
and I was like,
I think it's so cool. It's
it
so
is.
badass. First time I saw it, I was like, oh shit, I need to have one.
And
of
I
those.
love the way these cars look.
Yeah.
And I like imports, right?
Yeah,
I love
me too,
everything.
Me too.
I love everything.
Same,
but
yeah.
when I I said I had my Silica, then we had a Chevelle.
Yeah,
Like, I love everything.
Yeah.
So like when I seeing the drift cars and the way they're built, like man, I want to have one so bad.
Yeah.
The stance and the way they work
So
and
dope.
just man,
looks so
it's
clean.
just a whole nother drop of money. I will get one because for my excuse is I started doing RC car reviews. So I'm like, well, now I need one to review. So
About this all on the way over here.
yeah,
Nice.
So
Oh man, yeah.
Thinking about getting into that too. So I was like, oh.
And that's so cool when I go to Japan. They have those shows as well, of course, and
Yep.
they have all these weird cars, also with the wheels like going all the way
Mhm.
outside, and a
Camber
lot of
wheels
people,
all the way out,
a lot of people are like, oh, why? I'm like, well, because it's cool, because they can do it, you know.
I saw some
Yeah.
exhausts in Japan where they stick out of the car.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that's
Straight pipe.
yeah.
Bozozuko. I'm not.
Bozozuko.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so dope. I love those cars.
Yeah, I actually had a friend. He drifts. A Ford Mustang. His name's he airsofted. Now he does drift. He's grown up and he drifts a Mustang.
Serious.
Vinny. I don't know if you ever knew him. Yeah.
to see faces.
You have to see it. He
Almost
drifted for a
4 years
while,
old.
and then like in my industry, so like in the industry that I go to that show in Vegas, you know, you always have a collaboration, a mix of different people. So now there's a lot of off road guys who get into like shooting. So you got like Ken Block, you know, before he passed
yeah,
away,
Ken Block,
he would
yeah.
go to that
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
BJ Baldwin goes to the event. So like I've seen and talked to him. Maybe he's not gonna remember me, but I've talked to him and like a few times and like just like wow, there he is. He drives the freaking, you know, those
It's so funny.
4-wheel drive
because
trucks everywhere.
I know Cam Block from back in the days
Yeah.
when he was still DC team manager from
Yeah.
the DC
Yeah.
and the DC team, they came down to my indoor skate park that I built with my friends. I was so honored that they would do their like their premiere skateboard thing with Cam Block and the whole DC team at our indoor skateboard park. And then he was still like the Cam Block of DC shoes, you
Yep.
know, and then he
Yep.
became like this figure in the car industry and whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Super sad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
super
remember
sad.
when that happened.
I was
too,
shocked. I was like, serious?
and it was crazy as the way it happened too. Like
Yeah.
he was at the property in the snow, probably something you do every single day,
But
just
it's
having fun. And
but
then
it's the same with
an
Schumacher.
accident.
Schumacher, you know the Formula One driver, the German one.
I don't know.
He's like from back in the days.
Oh yeah.
He was the best,
Yeah.
and he got like into a coma by skiing.
yeah.
He had his helmet on, but just was skiing.
Like Dale Earnhardt.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Same.
Dale
Yeah.
Earnhardt was
Same.
fast.
So
I mean,
weird.
The wreck didn't look like much, but they're saying the
So
way
weird.
it was just.
Crazy.
Well, at least with you, just be careful. I mean, you might hit your foot with this car landing on it. You
Well,
know,
it can
be
happen.
careful.
Yeah, you have to be careful. Be careful out there.
Pinch your finger when you're trying to take the.
Poke you in the eye, and that's it. Can't get the knuckle.
Oh man, did you hear about Jevries?
man.
He lost an eye. He poked him.
Sick. I need to go to the restroom, by the way.
Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, go take a break, but we'll stop here in a little bit. But yeah, no freaking. You have to go to SHOT Show one day. It's pretty cool. The people you meet there, like for us, when we go to SHOT Show, I have my booth, right, and like, you know, you meet some people that come through here and there, but like, there's a place. It's not a circle. It's not a circle bar, but they call it circle bar. It's this big thing in this industry, right?
So it's squared.
It's a circle, but everybody calls it circle bar.
Yeah.
The way it's kind of shaped, I can see, but everybody calls it that. So like back in like maybe like 5-6 years ago, that was like the it place. Like anybody who was anybody would go hang out at the circle bar, and you'd get, you know, you'd see like everybody, like all these influencers, these tactical guys, they'd all hang out there. And the next year we went, and I had some other friends, and you know, you get to talk to them. You have friends around there. Like I have some friends who work for like Microtech, Cerakote, and some other places, and so they know these guys. They introduced me, and then another year passes. It's not as busy, and then another year passes. So like this year in SHOT Show, we went like, so me and my buddies, we were like walking around, like, man, there's like nobody here anymore.
Next story.
No.
Oh.
I don't go into that kind of personal stuff. But yeah, we get there and we're just like, there's not that many people here. It's like, you know what? These influencers probably got tired of seeing all these normal people. So I bet you anything they have another spot that they go to. We just don't know where it's at. And we're all laughing like it's probably true. But yeah, like it's funny how these worlds kind of tie together, right?
That's what I would do.
Yeah. No, I would do the same thing.
I just go somewhere
Yeah,
else.
I know. I would do the same thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's funny how these worlds kind of get together and collide. Oh, what's funny is like the guy at one of the guys who works at Redcat, he was doing a video on YouTube, and he had a freaking the shirt of that Chuck's brand. He was wearing it, and I was like, "Well, how is he wearing that shirt?" And he goes, I think I asked him like, "Where'd you get that shirt from?" He's like, "Oh, I think I got it like at a gun show."
That's serious?
Oh, that's cool.
Damn.
So like that's pretty funny. But like all these worlds kind of collide, and you meet
Damn.
different people. But
Damn.
yeah, but what we got here.
That's the thing that pretty much inspired Redcat to do the do their bed dancer.
I love it.
And I built this one starting in 2008. And this is like a model kit car. It's like 120 scale model kit car. Started out as a model kit car, and I think they used like 8 servo motors in here, just to replicate like a real bed dancer mini truck. I love the mini truck bed dancer trucks out there because it has so many moving parts, you know, and it looks like super interesting. A lot of people are asking me, yeah, why does the bed go up and why does it go sideways? Why, Jay? Why?
Well, look, when you're going to the dump and you got to and then tip it out the side and into the.
No, it was because the mini trucks became very, very popular during the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
And most of those are imports too. The import.
Yeah.
truck,
So it's a Nissan, D21.
One of the first
Yeah.
Lowrider trucks that I've ever fell in love with.
And a lot of people.
Didn't you have one or no? A little one?
Oh, really?
The
I had a mini truck.
Okay.
That wasn't a bed dancer.
Cool. No, of course, but it was a mini truck. Yeah.
Cabin, had system, chrome undercarriage.
Yeah. So finally, one guy came up with the whole thing, a Z rack or a scissor rack to make the bed go up, and then they had like all these dancing competitions, more like a break dancing with the bed of your truck. That's what it was all about.
And then it got into radical where
Yeah.
the bed started spinning and splitting in half, and then the doors started opening, then the doors started spinning.
and then Exhibit comes out and he pimps the ride.
Now, I'm working on one that is called and named the most radical mini truck bed dancer out there. That pretty much killed the game, as they're saying. After that one, it was killed, like probably within a year's time, died down. And this alien toy, it's making a comeback. Luckily, it's making a comeback. I mean, in Japan, I still noticed they have several mini truck bed dancers like back in the 2000s still, because they're like preserving the tradition. But over here in the US, they died down, but now it's finally coming back. And I love this. Yeah, better than ever, definitely.
This time they got chrome Z-Racks.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. And Sal Munoz, he's one of the originators of the bed dance. He created also Alien Toy, and there's a lot of fabrication on new bed dances as well. He's known for creating like creative kind of setups as well. But this one, yeah.
I'm amazed how you had that thing work. Like,
it was like, I want to make the impossible possible. That's pretty much what it was. Yeah.
First time I saw it in Ventura.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has everything.
Like, it works.
It has everything. It has like a sound system in here as well.
Sound system,
lights and everything. I'm not sure if the sound system still works, but still works.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you got the classics in there.
So cool.
But first time I met Redcat at the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles, I showed them the 112 scale 64 Impala that I made into a hopper, and I also showed them this one. They were like, "Oh, damn, that will be a nice thing to have produced as well, you know, to take in production." But they were like, "Okay, Jay, we're first gonna do the RC Lowriders to see if it does anything, and maybe in the future we're gonna do a bed dance as well." And eventually, yeah, they were working on one. I think already three years ago. They had a Nissan, yeah. And they showed me like a 3D printed body and everything. Unfortunately, I wasn't involved in the whole production side of things. I would love to be able to work on it, but they got their own team of engineers, and they managed to create something cool out of it. And they use a different kind of setup. They started out with cable system as well, but didn't work in 110 scale because it needs a lot of power, pushing power to pull that rack up and the bed up. But yeah, this was pretty much the inspiration of Redcat to start creating their own 110 scale one. Although it takes quite a lot of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's been on pre-order, right?
Yeah, it's still a pre-order, yeah. It takes a long time for them to create it. But yeah, it's an expensive undertaking. Definitely. It's very expensive to have it done. Yeah. So I can't wait for that one to come out.
Well, there's an opportunity when they come out with it for you to put your touch on it.
Definitely.
That's
Wheels.
The nice thing about what you do. And
a new Z-Rack.
Yeah.
The one that he built, man, that was... And then the paint job that came with it? Who painted it?
Pancho. He's from around here. He's from up north over here. And Pancho, I know Pancho did paint this one as well.
Oh, okay.
This is also done by Pancho. I know Pancho for a long time, and he started painting for customers as well. And I was like, well, the first 110 scale RC bed dance I want to have painted by you as well.
Yeah.
So to have one on 120 scale, yeah, he does an insanely good job. Yeah, I can't wait for it as well. And he's
still working on it, right?
Yeah, still working on it. Redoing the whole Z-Rack setup because I'm not satisfied with it. So it needs to look clean and everything. It got the real hydro suspension going on with cables and everything. So hopefully being done end of this year. Yeah.
He's like me. He's got that OCD.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, now you're going to have to get a bed dancer too when they come out.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I can't wait till that thing
comes. Yeah. Well, the first thing probably what I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to remove the Z-Rack they did. I know they watched all my videos from back in the days up till now, and I noticed that it has a similar kind of setup that I did in 1999, which is cool. But to me, it looks too toy grade, to be honest. Exactly. I want it to be more realistic, like the one I was building. So I'm probably gonna swap it for another Z-Rack. But still, for a product to have it produced like that, it's still hats off. Hats off, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it's ballsy to do it. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Something different. Yeah. Definitely.
I can't wait for that one to come out.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be so much fun.
'Cause I
Gonna,
already got plans for the way I want to build mine.
yeah.
I want to go old school with the Volkswagen wheels.
Oh, nice,
That's the
nice.
old school
Yeah,
Volkswagen
nice.
wheels.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. Now I'm gonna go with the white stretch
Yeah, that's
tires. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love
deep
that.
dish.
Yeah, deep dish. Yeah, exactly.
Is that something you want to design too? Since the bed dash is coming out.
Yeah, but I'm still kind of iffy about it. If it will take off as I hope it will do. I'm not sure if it will take off because the investment that I need to make on having these wheels made is huge. It's very expensive. So first, I want to see if it's become very popular, yes or no, and if it does, then I will definitely gonna invest time and money on it. Yeah, yeah. Because right now the guy from Hungary makes wheels for mini trucks, D10s, I think. And I think he does a really good job on his 3D printed wheels. And I've got a set of his 3D printed wheels on my on the Lowriding mini truck 110 scale. So I'm probably going to use those for some time. But if I decide I'm going to do my own, then I'll swap them.
Yeah, because once this mini truck comes out, man, it's gonna change everything.
I think so too.
It's gonna change.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, yeah.
There's gonna be totally different like atmosphere when you go to like even these
Yeah.
events, right? You see
Yeah.
the boulevard and you see the RC, and then you're gonna see trucks.
Yeah.
Like,
Honestly, maybe 2 or 3 bed dancers that
Yeah,
I've seen.
yeah.
Nothing like Jeffrey.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, the guy from Hawaii, the Hawaiian
The
guys.
Hawaiian dude has one.
Oh,
The
they.
dude
Yeah.
from Hawaii that has one
I
pretty
gotta
good.
be honest, they inspired me a lot because I've been looking at their pictures and I've been asking them questions on how did you do it and is their way better than my idea, and they were like, yeah, your way is definitely better, it's easier, more practical, so I'm not
Man,
gonna
it's
go
funny
with
because like they would see yours and man, his is way better. Then you look at his, no, his is way better.
yeah, but sometimes the easy, most practical way is the best way to go, and sometimes I wanted to do it maybe too difficult with cables and everything. Maybe it looks more realistic and authentic.
I'm just trying to figure out how you're doing it with cables.
It's
I'm
just
just like,
Yeah.
push cables. You need like a very high torque servo, and you push. But there's more to it. I have to be honest.
that's
There's
what
more
I'm
to
saying.
it.
It's like,
As I can see it
Yeah.
like coming down, but like how do you? I don't know.
Yeah, going up it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Yeah.
can see it when it comes down. You pull,
pulling
but-
is easy, but pushing.
when, you
Yeah.
were building the bed dance with the 10 scale one, he was working on the front and rear suspension, and I
Yeah.
was looking how he's doing it. I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
What kind
Yeah,
of voodoo
it
is
was
this?
really, it's really tricky because the cable will wear out pretty quickly if you don't apply some elements to it.
Is it like guitar string or?
It's like a very bendy steel wire, but you have like different styles. You have like flexible, less flexible. So I have one that sits in between. So it's
That's
flexible.
pretty
Yeah,
thin too, huh?
yeah, it's
Still,
thin. It's thin.
you can
Yeah,
bust it too.
I think it's
Yeah.
0.8 mil, so less than a mil.
That's
yeah.
really thin.
Yeah.
That's real thin.
Yeah.
I was overthinking like the freaking like little throttle cables and stuff like off a car.
Bro,
Those
Yeah.
are.
I'm seriously looking at that video over and over. I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's using. They ain't fishing.
But you need to make like the cylinders, the inside very compact, so the cable can go anywhere else
Yeah.
than going this way or that way. And I've experienced some things also like I use the PE kind of tubing, and it just stretched out because of the tension. I'm like, shit, what else can I need? Yep, yeah. So yeah, it's very tricky. It's very tricky because the RC4W with 4-wheel drive bodies are heavy.
I know.
Heavy.
I didn't bring mine, but I love those bodies, and
Yeah,
they're
me
based in
too.
Visalia.
Yeah,
We're from Bakersfield. They're like
yeah.
45 minutes away from
Yeah.
us.
Oh, no, already?
Yeah.
Yeah, those bodies are excellent,
They're-
but
I
they're
love
so
them.
thick. Plastics
know.
are so heavy.
Is that like your C10, the red one?
The red one, the K5.
the
Yeah.
K5.
Yeah, I have one.
love
I
their
bought it,
bodies.
so I wanted to put because I have these C10s, so I wanted to get a RC 4-wheel drive body. I was in between getting one, and then during Christmas night they had a sale. I was like, I'm just gonna buy the whole thing, and I'll do a video on it, and I'll use it for like a crawl, whatever. So I bought it, and my intention was to take it and try to fit it on an Impala because
Oh,
the guys
yeah.
are putting it on the Impala body.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I love this truck too much, so I just left it alone. I could do it; it'll fit. I just haven't done it yet. So you know what? I'll buy another one, and that one I don't know what I want to do with it because so many ideas. They have a RC 4-wheel drive makes the red one. I love red.
Yeah.
They also make one that's midnight, and that one's all blacked out. Even
Yeah.
the chrome,
Yeah.
everything is
Yeah, I
blacked
know that
out.
one. Yeah.
I love it. So
Super
I'm thinking maybe I'll get
nice.
that one. I'll do a blacked out, like on an Impala chassis, just blacked out everything
Nice.
with a system. Well, I'll show you the system tomorrow on the dually that I have, but get a custom system inside of it, a speaker system.
Sick.
Man,
But what I like about the Redcat mini truck body is that it's 1-to-1 scale. Finally,
okay.
because I had a lot of issues with Redcat when we were working on the 64 Impala that they choose to make it a wide body. I was like, no, we agreed on like a 1-to-1 scale because we're working on a one-off chassis. It's not like this chassis is going to be used on other types of bodies. So why not make it 1-to-1 scale? And for some reason, they stick to this wide body. I was like, oh, I was so dissatisfied with the fact that they stick to the wide body. But now finally, they decided with the mini truck to keep it like 1-to-1 scale, because the RC4
4-wheel drive.
exactly, those bodies are also wider than usual.
Toyota one, is that the one
Yeah,
you're talking
yeah,
about?
it's also wider. Yeah, it looks proportionally correct, right?
Yeah,
But it's still wider.
that's one I told you I want to get.
Yeah,
The
but-
Toyota.
I told him I want to get it, then I found out how much that price is. But
Yeah.
body, I was
I
like,
want to get a Toyota. I want to get the Toyota RC 4-wheel drive.
How much is it over here?
You're like almost
Like
160.
For the body. Yeah, I was thinking the whole car.
body is like,
I-
but it comes with everything.
I paid 145, which I think is a very decent pricing for what you get.
Yeah,
It
I think the
looks
doors
excellent.
open on that one too, right?
Everything,
Yeah.
it's-
you get everything with it. It's a very complete kit.
I know.
I think it's well worth the
I was
money.
gonna message you, was like, hey,
Yeah.
what do I need to do something?
And they're so nice. Like you can get the interiors for them,
Everything.
the engine. Like
It's a very complete model.
my the red one I have, it's got the engine bay in it, like the
That's
interior.
sick, yeah.
Even so what's cool about it is like the plastic molded, the clear windows. It's detachable, so you can take it off. You can put tinted windows in it. So it's like you don't have to
Nice.
trim. If I wanted to like make the window roll down, I just take off one piece, take off the top plastic piece, and then the windows open. Like it's easy.
Well, actually, the owner of RC 4-wheel drive, he contacted me a couple of months before Redcat did, because they wanted to do a RC Lowrider car. But they
That'd be
wanted to do
smart.
it with real hydraulics, because now you see RC4 4-wheel drive do all these how do you call it, those machines, those working machines.
Oh yeah, like the cat
Yeah.
bulldozers and heavy machinery.
Exactly, and they use real hydraulics,
Yeah.
and they wanted to do like a RC Lowrider
Yep.
car using real hydraulics. I was like, whoa, that's going to be badass. But the pricing would be around $1,500. So exactly, so that's probably the reason why they
Yeah.
never got back to me again.
I mean, it's a good idea.
Yeah, it
but-
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like more like a collector's piece, I guess, and it's something like because you need to maintain it. And I rather work with servos than like working with a real hydraulic miniature setup. So how much pressure you need to put on it? Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it's gonna be so messy.
Oh, my pumps went out, just leaking everywhere. Like man,
Sick. Would be something. Though,
that'd have been
but
cool.
Yeah,
That's
would've been
it's
cool.
crazy how that I didn't know that they reached out to you. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, a couple of months later, Redcat
Yeah.
reached out to me.
I reached out to them because when I went to this event in January, I took the Monte Carlo, and I took a couple other RC cars just for fun. And I'm friends with the guys in that industry,
Oh.
so I met with some of the guys that I know, like the marketing guys with Cerakote. You know what Cerakote is? So it's like this spray on coating they put like on metal.
I
and-
know. Yeah, I know.
right,
what you
to
mean.
protect it.
Yeah.
and they use it across all industry, whether it's the gun industry, in oil industry, on piping, fittings, all that kind of stuff. So they love the RC car, so I'm gonna work with them hopefully on doing a custom camo Toyota.
Nice.
And if you follow like Instagram or you like on Facebook, they have this page, or they used to have it. It was called Toyotas of War, and they would have these Toyotas like you'd have like overseas and like Iraq and stuff,
cool.
all fitted out with these guns and
Nice.
stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I told him the idea. I was like, we should do a Toyota of War based off the RC 4-wheel drive Toyota. I think the ones that they usually have like the late 70s, 80s. I think RC 4-wheel
Yeah.
drive has like a 79 or 83, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about getting one of those, painting it camo, and then there's a company within the gun industry called Goat Guns.
Yeah.
And the marketing guy said, hey, you should reach out to this person. She'll be able to help you get connected with them. And so I was thinking, okay, if they can do like a custom like turret gun or something on the RC 4-wheel drive Toyota, have it custom painted, put some custom wheels, like collaborate with different people, and then show it at these events. Like, that's another cross between like the industry there
Yeah.
that maybe somebody hasn't even thought of with these cars. So like
Yeah.
we're working on that collaboration right
Yeah.
now. And so hopefully that works out, and I can get some stuff from them. I would at least like 2 bodies, one to kind of work on that I can send off, and then another one we can do like kind of more plain.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be really cool. And then that's bringing another. So we're kind of merging another 2 different industries.
But that's so funny that you mentioned it, because my friend Armando Flores, I've been friends with him for a long time. He's one of my he's one of the master builders from back in the days, and still is. He's one of the best model. He's from Masterpieces. I'm also a member of Masterpieces. And he's definitely one of the best painters, builders ever out there. And I always looked up to this guy. He was featured in the magazines and everything. And we became friends a long time ago. He actually got a deal with Meta. with the guys from Meta and Instagram, Facebook, and they did Ray-Ban glasses,
Mm-hmm.
and they had all these events with his model cars and also the Redcat Lowrider cars. They made like special versions of it that like respond to the movements you make.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm like, whoa! So this big company also has an interest in this kind of thing. It's bizarre.
It's crazy. So before I went to the show in January, there was a company. It's not that big of a company, but they have their version of a camera that you can put inside of like a car, and it's got the
goggles?
AI goggles, and you move your head and the camera.
Oh,
moves.
that's so sick.
And so you're like in the car, and you can be
That's
driving
so
your RC
sick.
car, moving your head, looking
that's
around.
Badass.
And then they have all kind. They have simulators now where you can like go on a course, whether it be drift or like a rally course, like with a Subaru type car, and you can be in a seat. Like you've seen the simulators.
Yeah.
So they have that hooked up to an RC car,
so badass.
so you can drive it like you're
It's so
driving on the
sick.
road. I'm like, that's
Oh
crazy.
man, we need that for the RC Lowrider
I know.
cars, man.
I'm trying to get one. I'm trying to get one of those cameras.
Like
I mean, I'll buy it,
The closest I got
but
mounting my GoPro on the hood.
yeah. Now
Yeah,
those
it's
cameras are there.
cool.
Those are the ones I mount.
Damn.
I bought this
Yeah.
little thing that I'll use tomorrow. It's like a little camera dolly, and it is basically just goes up and down.
I saw it on the video. Yeah, I love
and
that
so
thing.
I'm gonna get it because like when I do my RC videos, I usually do everything slow, especially
Yeah.
like cruising and stuff. So I'm gonna have that, and it sucks. Like I do a lot of videos by myself,
Yeah.
so I don't always have somebody trying to hold a stick, trying to record and do the stuff I can't.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna push that, and hopefully it works out that I can record as I'm backing up or going
Mm.
forward, and then drive and do some hopping and stuff like that. And I can even make it go into a circle,
nice.
so I can do some hopping like while it's circles. So it's
Sick.
pretty cool.
Nice.
I have an affiliate link for that too. You guys click on.
Nice. Nice. I really like that.
So that should be fun. Hopefully
Yeah.
tomorrow I get a chance to
Cool.
to get that. And I bought a canopy because I didn't know we were gonna be outside. So if you want to share a canopy and get some shade one,
Oh.
yeah, we got one at Home Depot.
Oh,
I didn't know I have like nice canopies too. And you've never, well, my other business I have like a big 10x20 canopy. Like I should have brought it. I wasn't using it this
Yeah,
week.
I can bring one with me.
Yeah, I know. Can I check this bag? It's like
We didn't know till last minute when Dolino told us.
So
Yeah.
outside, yeah.
I didn't know until we got there, and I was like, oh, it's outdoors, huh?
I knew like
Because I
a
just
couple
called
of.
him and he goes, "Oh, that's him right there."
Yeah.
Well, I think he told me like a couple of months ago that it was going to be outside, and
I didn't think to ask. I
Yeah.
guess I'll ask next time.
yeah.
I assumed.
But usually it's like indoors, so it was a surprise to him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
hopefully
it's gonna work out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's all good.
Yeah.
Makes it
Yeah.
work.
exactly.
But yeah, that'll be fun tomorrow. I look forward to that.
Yeah,
Again, I'm looking forward to it
definitely.
because for me, I'm just gonna be doing media stuff,
Yeah.
so it'll be fun for me.
And it's fun for me to be out here in NorCal
Yeah.
because it's always mostly Los Angeles. But sometimes I go to Arizona. But now for the first time, I go to NorCal. I love to
Yeah.
go to Atlanta. The Atlanta show is also very nice because you see different people, different styles out there. And over here, I already noticed like the different style lowriders. I saw a lot of old school type of lowriders, and I was like, "Damn, that's so sick."
Is it really different like on that, like Atlanta compared to like California?
Yeah, it's
seeing the
definitely
cars?
different.
Yeah.
Definitely different.
How
Different
about-
styles.
I even see a difference like people posting stuff from Texas to California. It's different.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to the show in San Antonio last year. Yeah, different styles. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, different flavor, different style of paint jobs, and yeah.
Have you seen those guys who do those big, like the Paul Wall spokes with the big old spokes coming out of them? Have you seen those?
The swangers.
Is that what they call it? Yeah.
Swangers. Oh my goodness.
On Ultimas now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Man, I just think about like those death race, movies when like they're driving next to a guy and he's trying to run him off the road,
Like
and
Ben
he puts
Hur.
it, it tears up
like
the
Ben
side.
Hur.
Yeah,
Their thing, though,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like us is 13.
Yeah.
13 by 7s, man.
And I had the same thing with the donks. When the donks came out, I'm like, oh my
That's
goodness.
like in the Florida area.
Yeah, I was like serious. But the first time that I saw an actual, like a real donk, it was at Manny's bike store in Los Angeles. And I was like, oh my, it does look impressive though.
That's
I have to
crazy, the
admit.
horsepower that they pull, too.
It's crazy.
They put like freaking, what is it, Y2J motors in them.
But once it's rolling,
Yeah.
it's rolling. It's bizarre. It's like, and smooth.
LS1s, they put all
Crazy.
You think that those wheels will break? Hell no.
Sick.
Like 30
It's sick.
Donuts,
It's
man.
sick.
Like, holy
Wow.
shit.
It definitely looks impressive.
Man.
Yeah, I have to admit.
I remember like even when I was like right out of high school, in high school they had the spinners. Those are huge.
The spinners were the shit back then.
Man.
90s, early 2000s.
Oh,
I see some
spinners were
3D
the shit.
printed ones for like the RC cars before. I was like, man, I should get some. I don't think they'd spin that well.
A friend of
Yeah.
mine,
3D scale parts.
Really?
Makes them. The guy I got
Yeah.
he makes them.
Mike, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah,
Mike,
he makes
yeah,
them.
Yeah,
They're just, but you know how he has the caps that go like on the silver on the C10. It's
Yeah.
basically that.
Really?
I just don't know how they spin. I mean, I don't know. I got bearings in there. Is it just plastic? Yeah.
A friend of mine recently made them for the Hot Wheels cars, for
Uh-huh.
the trucks. He used like a very small bearing inside. He was like, "Look at it, Jay. Look at it spin, Jay." And I was, "Oh wow,
Man, I remember those. I never had them. I had a Ford freaking Taurus in high school, and so they had a spinning. Oh man, they had spinners, hubcap covers.
Oh,
I
yeah,
had those.
the cheap ones."
Yeah, I had those. Those are the freaking Pet Boy specials, like right there. And man, at least I never got the two-sided vent, the double-sided tape vents. I never got that. I never got that. I see those guys like, oh my god. But yeah,
Sick, but
those were cool, but until like you lost a little bit of air in your tires, and then your tire would kind of sag a little bit, and then the plastic hub would start to rub into your tire. Man, I lost a wheel because of that.
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's
I'll have to do that one day. What was that movie, Malibu's Most Wanted, when he has the Escalade with those? Remember that movie, Malibu's Most Wanted, with B-Rad? Yeah.
With spinners.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sick.
Oh
Sick.
man,
Oh,
you should make some spinners. They'd be the best. They'd be the best spinners on the market.
Well, they were quite popular in RC world as well. You could buy different styles back then.
Yeah.
They didn't have the bearings, but still looked pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But so when you, as far as like your so your wheels, like yes, your number one, like if you think about Jevries, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
So as far as like the bodies and stuff and everything coming out, like if you had to tell somebody like, how do I say, like to kind of like wrap things up and end, like what are you most like proud of as far as like yourself and what you do? If you had to say somebody like, this is my company and this is what I do.
Well, I thought about it recently, and the thing I'm really proud of, that I've been persistent, that I did what I always liked to do, that I not was like pushed into a corner from because you have to do this, you have to make money, more money. I always picked and choose what I like to do. So I pretty much always pick my own way of doing things. So I was around 50 when finally this success happens. So I tell a lot of people, well, you can have success even when you're 50 years old, It doesn't have to be successful when you're just 20 years old. I mean, it's not like your life will end after 25 or 30 years old. You can still do things you like. And I think if you're persistent enough and you have like a good mindset and you have a good feeling for quality, I think you can make things happen.
Yeah.
Definitely. You can definitely make things happen, but you need to put your mind to it and you need to be dedicated.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's what I did all my life. And that's where I am right now. And I have the success and I can live a comfortable life. And I'm really, really happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, do you ever look at anywhere in the States about ever moving? You like where you're at?
We investigated that last year. I went here with my wife March last year because we had the plans to move out to Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
We also had like a couple of talks with this immigration attorney in Portland. And he was like, okay, you can come over, you can try for 2 years, but there's no guarantee you can stay. There's no guarantee you can get a green card or anything. And then we investigated also how much would it cost to end the business in the Netherlands and start the business over here in the USA. And it took a ridiculous amount of money to get it, to end it in the Netherlands, because you have to pay an X percentage fee, like a penalty fee if you want to quit your business and start a business somewhere else.
Okay.
So you can't just transfer it?
No, there's no transfer. You have to quit. You have to stop it. You pay like a penalty fee, like on the value of your company, and then you can say, okay, that's quits, and we're gonna start. And
That's crazy.
So there was a lot of responsibility, and a lot of hurdles to be taken. I was like, no, we're not gonna do it. It's not worth it. So we still went out looking for places like Silver Lake and Glendale, which is way too expensive, and we're like, no, it's crazy. Yeah.
I was like, why in California? Look, you should look at like Arizona or something like.
So
Arizona's crazy.
Yeah.
Right now.
So
Compared to
like,
California?
no.
Texas?
Now California's crazy. Texas, a lot of people moving out from California to Texas
I was
nowadays.
gonna say, you stay out of California for that.
The cost right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But no, I'm really happy that we didn't, because I think we would lost a lot of money, and it would add a lot of stress to our lives. And I'm happy with it.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
that I just asking. I just wondering. Yeah.
Yeah.
There goes
But-
expenses moving to Japan.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, you should at least visit Japan.
I do want
at least
to.
once a year.
I have some friends who have gone and they love it.
Yeah,
So
you
right now my
should.
kids are really young.
Yeah.
So and my wife's very, very scared of flying, especially now with all
Oh,
the stuff
really?
going on. She's terrified of flying.
No.
She went to Pennsylvania for an event, or not for an event, for work a couple years back,
Huh?
and she said there was so much turbulence she thought she was gonna die.
Oh, really?
Like everybody on the plane thought they were gonna die.
No.
And then now, when you fast forward to like this year, like these planes be crashing into each other. She's just like, nope, not going on a plane again. She's just not gonna go on a plane. I was like, she's like, if we can drive there, okay.
Serious? Driving is way more
Yeah.
dangerous.
Well, she
than
wants to. We may
flying.
drive to Canada in July because there's a wedding out there.
Oh.
My wife's Indian,
Oh, really?
so she's from India. So we
Oh.
have a lot of. She has a lot of family
Oh,
in
okay.
Canada because a lot of Indian
Wow.
population in Canada.
Wow.
And so we may drive. I have a Sprinter van, and so we're probably gonna load that up with the kids and head out there in July.
Nice.
So that she's like, we'll go there. I'm not gonna fly. Yeah, we can't drive to Japan.
I love flying. It's the only time that I can do nothing. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
I can relax. I listen to music, watching video, and
I
that's
know.
it. I love
I've
it.
flown a few times. I don't mind.
Flight is from here to Cambodia.
Oh, you been
Yeah.
to Cambodia?
Working out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been there too.
And the coldest spot I ever worked was in Alaska when I was in Kenai. That's the coldest time.
For me, flying, and my wife
Wow.
doesn't share this idea with me, but for me, flying, when I go to plane, the reason why I'm so calm, I just like, cause I'm like, you know what? If something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I don't have any more control.
Exactly. That's
And
what
I
it
just
is.
sit back. I just like
That's what it is.
Put my movie on.
Yeah, surrender.
Yeah. That was some turbulence, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Close your eyes
Yeah.
and
Enjoy the roller coaster ride.
Yeah. If I end up in the ocean, like, I don't know. But
It hardly happens nowadays. It hardly happens. Nah,
man,
I mean, if you're looking at the amount of flights that are going on
Yeah.
each day, is
the percentage is so low.
it's like nothing.
Yeah,
It's like nothing.
It's so low.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the media just puts it out like, oh, this car. Like,
Of course,
yeah.
because the media needs to make money. So
add more male pilots.
Oh, oh, I'm gonna beep that out. Beep 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 beep. Yeah, every time you see Tony in the podcast, he's beep 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 beep. And then
Crazy. Crazy.
oh man.
Yeah.
So, well, we've been on it for like 2 hours.
Holy
That's-
shit, 2
that's
hours already?
Yeah, yeah. So
I'm
I can
still
tell by your
awake.
restroom break that we've been going on for a long time. But that's what I was asking earlier, as far as like what you see your company as. Hey, if you want to be remembered by that. But yeah, so I do thank you for coming on. Your cars are like that red one. I love it. I'm gonna have to do something like that because
Yeah, thank you very much.
yeah, it's different. Like
Yeah.
I said, I wanted to. I think I told you one time I wanted to do like a blacked out like Impala, but then it was turning more into like a muscle. I felt like if I did that,
Oh,
like, I
yeah.
felt like it was gonna be more like
Yeah.
a muscle car. Well, I mean, you could. There's like
Yeah.
SS Impalas, but either way, like your stuff is awesome. It's for me, it's an honor to talk to you, to meet you,
You're welcome.
because like when I think about RC hopping customization, like your name pops up. And I feel like that the sentiment is shared with everybody in the industry, whether they want to. Here's the funny part: whether they want to admit it or not,
Yeah.
that is the case. Because
Yeah.
I've gone back and forth with a couple people here and there, and what's funny is when somebody says something and they look back, like, "You're a fan too. What are you over here saying anything for? Like, what are you?"
sick? So sick.
So
And it's so weird because I feel like I'm living at this deserted island, like somewhere over there, the ocean, across the ocean, and there's nothing going on. And whenever I come out here, I'm like, yeah, you got so many fans. Like, really? I mean, I try to reply to everyone online. I got a lot of messages, but it's kind of weird to feel like the people like really like what you're doing
Yeah.
and being fan of your work. And it's kind of weird.
that's good though. That's a good thing to say.
Yeah, it's
I
kinda
don't know if
weird.
you mean it or not, but that's a good thing to say
I-
because
I
the
100% mean it because it feels like this.
yeah, but that's good because you got some people who think a certain way about themselves and it shows. Where like when you speak, it's totally you can tell like
You see the humbleness.
yeah, you can hear the humbleness, you can see it, and even again with the product, the way here's the thing. I know we were gonna end it, but just I get these ideas because I have so many ideas as far as like marketing people and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and I mentioned before, like your product, like your product looks a certain way. Nobody else is gonna put that time. You could put it out there, and somebody's like, "Oh man, that's probably too expensive," even though it's not,
Yeah.
and they're not gonna look at it. But other people just put the stuff in a bag and sell. Like you take the time, and that shows how meticulous, how much time and thought, and then it also shows like the humbleness. It's like I'm putting this to my standard,
Yeah, exactly.
and what I want, and what I
100%.
expect,
Yeah.
and so that shows in even talking to you.
Yeah. Well,
So.
It's good to hear. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're very welcome. So
Thank you very much.
yeah, again, we both thank you. We're both, fans and stuff. So I will keep stalking you to see when you're gonna be back in the US, so that I can try to meet up with you
good.
again.
Good.
We can
Yeah,
follow
sounds
up
good.
and see if we can meet up again, and maybe in Arizona.
Sounds
I know
good.
you go to
Yeah,
Arizona
I'll go
quite a
there.
bit,
Yeah. Sounds good.
But yeah, again, thank you for coming, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for being on here. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Have a good one.
All right, so we finished the podcast, and I forgot to present our podcast hat to Jevries here, so we're going to do that right now. This hat is the gold embroidered Work Hard RC hat that we only give to folks who are part of the podcast that we interview, so that one is there for you. Again, I forgot to do that during the podcast, but there it is. And I'm not very tall, and he is, so we'll put that camera up a little bit. You can see that there.
Thank you
So
very much.
thank you for coming out.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So now the podcast is complete.
Shake his hand.
Thank you, sir. Well, I was trying to look at the camera. All right, we'll see you guys.